Chapter 940. Token. Yi Qinfeng did not hide in the universe mirror after receiving the fatal attack from the Heavenly Lord Soul. Instead, he took out the clone token given to him by the mysterious old Taoist and placed it in front of him. Crack! The clone token shattered after receiving a fatal blow from the celestial venerate soul. A terrifying power seeped out from the token, turning into an old Taoist in ancient robes. He blocked the attack from the celestial venerate soul. It's you. Why are you here? The Heavenly Lord's soul lost his composure when he saw the old Taoist standing in front of Yi Qinfeng. The old Taoist's body was thin, but gave off the feeling of a mountain. I didn't expect that we would meet again one day. The mysterious old Taoist's voice was ancient. However, when we meet again, you're only a remnant soul, and I'm only a clone. Luotian, do you insist on making an enemy out of the Heavenly Lord Soul? The Heavenly Lord Soul said angrily with a fierce look in his eyes. I don't want to make an enemy out of you. However, you wanted to destroy the orthodoxy of the human race. I had no choice but to attack you. The mysterious old Taoist said emotionlessly. Fine. If that's the case, I'll destroy your clone first to take revenge. The Heavenly Lord's soul looked at the old Taoist with hatred. Several crescent-shaped soul arcs split from his body and pierced through the air, attacking the old Taoist at an astonishing speed. I could destroy your clone back then. Now I can destroy your soul too. The old Taoist's hands moved slowly like flowing water. They turned into an extremely mysterious diagram of the great Tao and blocked the attack from the Heavenly Lord Soul. Then, the old Taoist's turbid eyes opened abruptly. A sound wave that sounded like a dragon's roar and a tiger's roar was released from his mouth. It rushed towards the Heavenly Lord's Soul like a surging tide. Blue sky seal. The Heavenly Lord's Soul quickly formed a seal. A green seal formed from the power of the heavens, collided with the sound wave released by the old Taoist, causing the entire void to shake violently. Junior, can you lend me that jade wall for a moment? The Heavenly Lord's Soul was too terrifying. The old Taoist clone did not dare to be careless. He transmitted a message to Yi Qinfeng. All right, without hesitation, Yi Qinfeng lent the 9 dragons jade annulus, the most powerful offensive treasure in his possession, to the old Taoist clone. After obtaining the 9 dragon jade annulus, the old Taoist gently took a step forward. After one step, the old Taoist strangely appeared in front of the Empyrean soul and punched his chest. This punch appeared to be normal, but it was filled with the power to destroy the world. It was enough to flatten a mountain. The celestial Lord's soul continued to form seals and collided with the old Taoist's fist. The two powerful forces collided, causing cracks to appear in the void and setting off monstrous waves. While the old Taoist priest was clashing with the Heavenly Lord's soul, Yi Qinfeng, who had consumed an entire bottle of heavenly returning water to recover his soul power, adjusted his state of mind and wielded his halberd to attack Qinguqiu, who was in the midst of receiving the celestial race's inheritance. Hey Yen, I will definitely kill you today. After receiving the complete celestial race inheritance, Qinguqiu, who had basically consolidated his cultivation as a Class 5 combat beast emperor, roared and slashed toward Yi Qinfeng with his flying snow sword. Fiend God bloodline ignite! Controlling the 9 dragon jade annulus to attack, Qinguqiu had drained almost all of Yi Qinfeng's soul energy. Now, facing Qinguqiu, Yi Qinfeng could only transform into his god-devil physique and raise his physical body's strength to 140 million. The halberd, which was infused with the Tao intent of the 5 elements, Tao intent of life and death, and Tao intent of heaven and earth, smashed down like a mountain toward Qinguqiu's flying snow sword. Bang! When the 2 Taoist treasures collided with each other, there was a deafening explosion. After that one strike, Yi Qinfeng was like an invincible hero. With the halberd in his hand, he ferociously smashed into Qinguqiu, suppressing him with absolute strength. In the face of Yi Qinfeng's mountain-like halberd, Qinggu Qiu did not dodge. Instead, he pushed his soul power to the limit and faced the attack head-on with his flying snow sword. Qinggu Qiu has indeed become terrifying after consolidating his cultivation base. I'm afraid I won't be a match for him if I rely solely on physical strength. Yi Qinfeng and Qinggu Qiu fought fiercely for an incense stick's worth of time. Not only was he unable to suppress Qinggu Qiu, but he was also being countered by Qinggu Qiu's endless attacks. Stun art! As the battle grew fiercer and fiercer, Yi Qinfeng's soul power erupted, forming a terrifying stun art that bombarded Qinggu Qiu's soul, causing him to feel dizzy. Heavenly Demon Dance. While Qinggu Qiu's reaction was sluggish, Yi Qinfeng quickly slashed out with his halberd. 8 halberd shadows with the power to destroy everything smashed through the void toward Qinggu Qiu. Not good. Enduring the dizziness, Qinggu Qiu quickly circulated the green heaven secret art and gathered the power of the heavens in front of him to block the 8 halberd shadows' destructive attacks. Bang! Qinggu Qiu's power of the heavens was broken, and the mountain-like halberd smashed into his body, sending him flying. A large amount of blood spurted out from his mouth. After sending Qinggu Qiu flying with his halberd, Yi Qinfeng followed up with another attack, wanting to kill him in one fell swoop. Green Heaven's secret art, Heavenly Dao Disc. Qinggu Qiu roared furiously and circulated the Green Heaven's secret art at high speed, forming a terrifying Heavenly Dao Disc. It twisted the void and slammed into Yi Qinfeng's halberd. Boom! Yi Qinfeng's halberd shattered the Heavenly Dao Disc, but the power of the heavens from the Heavenly Dao Disc slammed into Yi Qinfeng's body, sending him flying. The blood in his body churned violently. Beast soul form. Qinggu Qiu roared and transformed into his strongest beast soul form. Stepping on the cloud-treading boots, he launched a fierce attack at Yi Qinfeng. As he attacked, he also summoned the devil puppet, which was comparable to a level 6 combat beast emperor, to attack together. The sword puppet had exhausted its energy in the 10,000 layers of tribulation clouds, so Yi Qinfeng could only rely on his own strength to defend against Qinggu Qiu and the devil puppet's attacks. As their attacks became more and more ferocious, Yi Qinfeng's attacks were gradually suppressed. If not for his strong physical body, he would have been severely injured by Qinggu Qiu. Yi Qinfeng and Qinggu Qiu were engaged in an intense battle, but the battle between the old Taoist priest and the Heavenly Lord Soul was not as intense as the battle between the old Taoist priest and the Heavenly Lord Soul. However, every time the two of them clashed, the void would collapse, and the destructive power that seeped out from the spatial rifts would be enough to kill an emperor-level cultivator. Blood-red cliff, destroy. The Heavenly Master's soul fused with the blood-red cliff, which was hundreds of meters tall and had the power of a saint artifact. He controlled the blood-red cliff to emit a crimson light, which shot towards the old Taoist like a curtain of blood. As the curtain of blood approached, the old Taoist's energy surged and poured into the 9 dragon jade annulus. Roar, roar, roar. Following 3 deafening dragon roars, 3 destructive dragons with the power to destroy all things smashed through the crimson blood barrier and ruthlessly slammed into blood-red cliff. Kacha! The blood-red cliff was covered in cracks after taking the 9 dragon jade annulus attack. The terrifying power of the 9 dragon jade annulus passed through the blood-red cliff and crashed into the Heavenly Master's soul. After destroying the blood-red cliff and severely injuring the Heavenly Master's soul, the old Taoist continued to expend the power of his doppelganger to control the 9 dragon jade annulus. Soul ignition. The Heavenly Master's soul also burned its soul to increase the power of the blood-red cliff and defend against the 9 dragon jade annulus attack. The clash between the 2 holy treasures continued to destroy the space around the heavenly cemetery. Even Yi Qinfeng, Qinggu Qiu, and the devil puppet were affected by the shock waves. Their attacks were forcefully interrupted, and they were sent flying several thousand meters away. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record this book. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 941. The sky collapsed and the wind and clouds churned. The entire space was in chaos. Reading the latest chapter enduring the destructive storm from afar, Yi Chen-feng held the heavenly halberd in one hand and the Emperor's sky sword in the other as he clashed fiercely with Qinggu Qiu and the devil puppet. However, Qinggu Qiu and the devil puppet were too powerful. Yi Chen-feng could not withstand their ferocious attacks, even though he had pushed his Tao will to the extreme. Helpless, Yi Chen-feng took out an ancient jade peach that was over 200,000 years old and swallowed it. Instantly, he recovered his soul power and fought with all his might. Lingyu, Shui, come out and help me. Using the ancient jade peach to recover his peak strength, Yi Chen-feng immediately summoned the Lingyu and the King of Massacre. He also lent the heavenly halberd to the Lingyu so that they could restrain the devil puppet. Ancient instant mirror, boundless mirror images. Upon receiving Yi Chen-feng's order, the King of Massacre, who was a Class 4 combat beast emperor, soared into the sky and activated the ancient instant mirror with all his might. Boundless mirror light shot out and attacked the devil puppet. While the King of Massacre was attacking with all his might, the Lingyu ignited his bloodline power and transformed into his divine ape true form. He held the heavenly halberd in his hand and attacked the devil puppet with all his might. Facing the King of Massacre and the Lingyu's all-out attack, the devil puppet was immediately distracted. At this moment, Yi Chen-feng ignited his dragon bloodline and transformed into a blood dragon that shook the heavens. He charged towards Qinggu Qiu, who was using the power of the heavens to attack ferociously. Blue Sky Seal. Yi Chen-feng used his true dragon transformation to attack. Qinggu Qiu circulated the green sky secret art at high speed and gathered the power of the heavens to form a powerful azure palm print. It brought with it an unparalleled pressure and bombarded the true dragon shadow. Boom, boom, boom. The two divine abilities collided, and the crimson dragon head that was imbued with intent of the great Tao was immediately shattered. However, the crimson dragon head continued its onslaught and crashed into Qinggu Qiu's body. Qinggu Qiu was forced to retreat again and again, and his body plowed a massive trench into the ground as the blood essence in his body churned violently. Green Heaven Spell, Heavenly Tao Plate. Qinggu Qiu forced back the blood that was about to burst out of his mouth as he circulated the green heaven art to suppress the surging blood essence in his body. He formed the terrifying Heavenly Tao Disc in an attempt to counterattack. Boundless Heavenly Sword. Yi Chen-feng charged forward with unimaginable speed. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Qinggu Qiu and attacked with the Emperor's celestial sword. With a slash of his sword, the power of the Heavenly Tao was pushed to the limit. The terrifying sword light contained the might of the Grand Tao, and it overshadowed all light as it slammed into Qinggu Qiu's Heavenly Tao Plate. Ka. Cracks began to appear on the Heavenly Tao Plate as it clashed with the boundless Heavenly Sword. Qinggu Qiu's Heavenly Tao Plate shattered. However, the recoil from the Heavenly Tao Disc's attack landed heavily on Yi Chen-feng's body, injuring him. Sacred thunder of purple beginnings break. Yi Chen-feng relied on his powerful physique to resist the recoil from the recoil as he tapped his finger in the air. The sacred thunder of purple beginnings burst forth and pierced through the Heavenly Tao Plate that was riddled with cracks. 100 million gene of force. Slash! When the sacred thunder of purple beginnings destroyed Qinggu Qiu's Heavenly Tao Plate, Yi Chen-feng leaped into the air and burned his celestial demon bloodline to transform into his celestial demon body. He raised the power of the Emperor's celestial sword to the limit and smashed it down like a moving mountain. Boom! Yi Qinfeng's full-force slash landed on Qinggu Qiu's flying snow sword, and a terrifying power burst forth. The power passed through the flying snow sword and into Qinggu Qiu's arms, causing the skin on his arms to split open and a large amount of blood to flow out. Following that, Yi Qinfeng continued to unleash the full power of his physique as he gripped the Emperor's celestial sword tightly with both hands. He spun his body and continued to slash at Qinggu Qiu, worsening his injuries. Green Heaven Technique. Explode with the power of the heavens. As the injuries on his arms worsened, Qinggu Qiu increased the speed of the Green Heaven Technique to the limit. He unleashed the power of the heavens to meet Yi Qinfeng's attacks head-on. Due to the ferocity of their attacks, it was as if two beams of divine light were clashing against each other. The power of their attacks continued to destroy the heavenly tomb. Yi Qinfeng and Qinggu Qiu's battle was earth-shattering. The spirit fish and the king of killers were completely suppressed by the devil puppet and were in a perilous situation. The battle between the old Taoist's avatar and the Heavenly Lord's soul was nearing its end. The outcome of their battle would determine the outcome of the battle. Borrowing the power of the 9 dragon jade annulus, the old Taoist's avatar shattered the blood-red cliff, which was comparable to a sage treasure. The Heavenly Lord's soul, which was hiding in the blood-red cliff, was also severely injured. His soul was constantly being destroyed, and he was on the verge of collapsing. Luotian, even if I die, I will destroy your avatar. The Heavenly Lord's soul let out an uncontrollable roar. He frantically activated the power of the heavenly tomb, preparing to deal a fatal blow to the old Taoist. It's useless. This is not the heaven region. You will never be able to cause any trouble here. Feeling the power of the heavenly tomb surging into the blood-red cliff, the old Taoist's arms suddenly exploded. They turned into countless Tao patterns that surged into the blood-red cliff like a tidal wave. Following that, a series of deafening explosions rang out from the blood-red cliff. The Heavenly Lord's soul roared in pain. Explode! After shattering his arms, the old Taoist's avatar spared no effort to push back his legs. They turned into Tao patterns that filled the sky and blasted into the blood-red cliff. After being continuously attacked by the old Taoist's exploding Tao patterns, the heavenly tomb's power exploded on the blood-red cliff. The terrifying power shattered the Heavenly Lord's soul, and it was on the verge of dissipating. Just as the Heavenly Lord's soul was about to be destroyed, he suddenly burrowed into a drop of crimson blood at the core of the blood-red cliff and disappeared. He escaped into the Heavenly Lord's blood. The old Taoist's avatar frowned. Although he had the power to destroy the Heavenly Lord's blood with the help of the 9 dragon jade annulus, this drop of blood was extremely precious. In the entire continent, it was the most precious treasure and opportunity. After hesitating for a while, the 4-limbed old Taoist gave up on the idea of destroying the Heavenly Lord's blood and quickly rushed to Yi Qinfeng's side. Seeing the 4-limbed old Taoist's avatar approach, Qinggu Qiu's 3 souls were scared out of their wits. They decisively abandoned Yi Qinfeng and tried to escape. However, the old Taoist's avatar was too terrifying. He let out a sound wave that sounded like a dragon's roar and a tiger's roar. Qinggu Qiu spat out a mouthful of blood and his mind went blank. Following that, the old Taoist spat out a soul light that resembled a bolt of lightning. It struck the devil puppet that had unleashed its invincible might and sent it flying several thousand meters away, causing it to suffer extremely heavy injuries. "Senior, please have mercy." Just as the old Taoist was about to kill Qinggu Qiu, who had joined the heaven race and inherited their legacy, Yi Qinfeng suddenly stopped him. "Why? Do you still want to spare his life? Do you know that letting a tiger return to the mountains will lead to endless trouble?" The old Taoist's avatar frowned and asked in confusion, "Senior, this Qinggu Qiu is still useful. I want to control him." As he spoke, Yi Qinfeng summoned the Soul Eater's brain and controlled it to enter Qinggu Qiu's severely injured soul. In the next instant, Qinggu Qiu regained his senses and let out a painful howl as he desperately tried to stop the Soul Eater's brain from invading his soul. However, his soul was too severely injured and could not resist the Soul Eater's brain. Soon, the Soul Eater's brain fused with his own. The prodigy of the generation, Qinggu Qiu, was completely controlled by Yi Qinfeng and lost his sense of self. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 942. Qinggu Qiu. Seeing that you're quite talented, you can follow me from now on. Read the chapter. Yi Qinfeng spoke in an indifferent voice as he looked at the unwilling Qinggu Qiu, who was unable to resist his will. Yes, master. Under the control of Soul Devourer, Qinggu Qiu obediently lowered his head and replied respectfully. The scenes unfolding before his eyes left the old Taoist priest's clone with a bewildered expression. He didn't think that Yi Qinfeng was hiding such a great secret. However, this was only a clone, and he was severely injured, so he didn't try to steal Yi Qinfeng's secrets. Instead, he slowly said, Junior, you're truly surprising me more and more. Do you dare to try and subdue that drop of heavenly venerate essence blood? What is it, Senior? Is that drop of essence blood dangerous? Yi Qinfeng didn't know that the heavenly venerate's soul had escaped into the essence blood at the last moment, and he asked in a low voice. I didn't kill the heavenly venerate's soul just then. Instead, I allowed him to escape into that drop of essence blood, so when you try to subdue that drop of essence blood, it will definitely attack you. However, the heavenly venerate's soul has been severely injured by me, so it can only unleash 1/10,000th of its power at most. If you have a trump card that can restrain souls, then you can give it a try. If you can't subdue that drop of essence blood, then I'll have to expend the last of my power to destroy that drop of essence blood. I'm willing to attempt to subdue that drop of essence blood. Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath and replied, All right, I'll stand guard for you. If anything happens, I'll be able to save your life with my remaining power, the old Taoist priest's clone said. No need. No matter what happens, please don't help me. I'm confident that I can subdue that drop of essence blood, Yi Qinfeng said with a shake of his head. That's good. Since you have such confidence, I can rest assured. Remember, your life is the most important thing. Looking at Yi Qinfeng's conviction, the old Taoist clone guessed that Yi Qinfeng had a treasure that could restrain souls. He was relieved and allowed Yi Qinfeng to fly toward the shattered blood-red cliff. Qinggu Qiu, who was being controlled by Soul Devourer, had a complicated look in his eyes. Never in his wildest dreams had he imagined that he would end up in such a miserable state. However, he knew that there was nothing he could do about it. He could only accept his fate. Break. Yi Qinfeng wielded the Empyrean celestial sword. With a ferocious slash, he cut open the blood-red cliff, which was riddled with cracks. He entered and saw the heavenly venerates, lifeblood sealed in the deepest part of the blood-red cliff. What a terrifying power! No wonder it's the natal blood, left behind by a mighty figure of the divine clan who cultivated to the Tao Master realm in the Qingyun realm. After hundreds of thousands of years of tempering, the bloodline power it contains is still so terrifying. Yi Qinfeng felt his breathing become labored as he sensed the vast power contained in the heavenly venerate's lifeblood. However, he still opened his mouth and swallowed the heavenly venerate's lifeblood. Junior, how dare you devour my lifeblood even though you know that I'm in it? I'll kill you first today. An earth-shattering roar exploded in the heavenly venerate's lifeblood like thunder, causing Yi Qinfeng's soul to tremble. An extremely terrifying soul entered Yi Qinfeng's sea of soul, causing his soul to tremble. Large amounts of blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. In the next moment, the heavenly venerate's soul, which was tall and muscular, appeared in Yi Qinfeng's sea of soul. It released a fierce and vicious power that bombarded Yi Qinfeng's soul. It wanted to tear his soul apart and kill him. God-Eater Brain, devour! When the heavenly venerate's soul attacked, the God-Eater Brain appeared in Yi Qinfeng's sea of soul, turning into a black space that could devour everything. It released tentacle-like, devouring light that tried to devour the heavenly venerate's soul. What is this? Suddenly being devoured by the God-Eater Brain, the heavenly venerate's soul immediately released a powerful soul force. It shattered the devouring light like a tsunami and attacked the black space. Boom! Yi Qinfeng's soul trembled. When the soul force released by the heavenly venerate's soul struck the black space, it immediately produced a terrifying destructive power that made Yi Qinfeng feel as if his soul was about to shatter. His head felt like it was being pricked by needles. Large amounts of blood flowed uncontrollably from his 7 orifices. He was in so much pain that he wanted to die. He clenched his teeth so hard that they nearly broke. As Yi Qinfeng relied on his extraordinary willpower to withstand the pain in his sea of soul, the heavenly venerate's soul once again attacked the black space formed by the God-Eater Brain, wanting to destroy it. If it weren't for Yi Qinfeng's powerful soul, the 2 attacks from the heavenly venerate's soul would have destroyed his sea of soul and torn apart his soul, turning him into a mindless idiot. God-Eater Brain, devour with all your strength. Withstanding the inhuman pain, Yi Qinfeng controlled the God-Eater Brain to wildly devour the heavenly venerate's soul, wanting to tear it apart. Although the heavenly venerate's soul had been severely wounded by the old Taoist avatar and only had a 10,000th of its peak strength left, the God-Eater Brain still wasn't able to tear it apart in a short period of time. And in just a dozen breaths of time, the heavenly venerate's soul attacked the God-Eater Brain over a dozen times. Yi Qinfeng was in so much pain that his soul nearly collapsed. After withstanding the fierce attacks of the heavenly venerate's soul, the terrifying God-Eater Brain finally began to disintegrate the heavenly venerate's soul. It constantly tore apart the heavenly venerate's arms and body, swallowing them up. Time slowly passed. Yi Qinfeng relied on his unyielding will to endure the most difficult moment. He controlled the God-Eater Brain to tear apart the heavenly venerate's soul and swallow it. Haha, I finally made it. Yi Qinfeng felt severe dizziness in his mind. He nearly fainted several times, but now he let out a long sigh of relief. The heavenly venerate's life blood had lost the heavenly venerate's soul and become an ownerless object. However, if an ordinary person wanted to subdue it, they would find it difficult to do so. But Yi Qinfeng had a treasure like the Chaos Divine would. He didn't need to worry about not being able to subdue the heavenly venerate's life blood. Chaos Divine would devour. With a thought, Yi Qinfeng controlled the Chaos Divine would to extend tens of thousands of 5-colored roots. They broke into the heavenly venerate's life blood and swallowed it into the tree, forcefully suppressing it. Junior, are you all right? Seeing that Yi Qinfeng had destroyed the heavenly venerate's soul and subdued the heavenly venerate's life blood in less than an incense's time, the old Taoist clone revealed a shocked expression. He was shocked by Yi Qinfeng's secrets. Thank you for your concern, Senior. I'm fine. Yi Qinfeng said weakly as he wiped the blood from his 7 orifices. Junior, you and that little girl are the 2 most talented people I've ever seen. If you 2 can grow up, perhaps you can rebuild the legacy of our human race, the old Taoist clone said with relief. Senior, there's something that I don't understand. I wonder if you can tell me the truth? Yi Qinfeng asked after stabilizing his injuries. Do you want to ask why I didn't establish the legacy of the human race himself? The old Taoist clone seemed to have seen through Yi Qinfeng's thoughts. That's right. With Senior's strength, I think it's enough to establish an indestructible rank, 9 heavenly kingdom. Yi Qinfeng nodded and said, I Everyone has their own mission, and everyone has their own destiny. Building the legacy of the humankind is not my mission, and my existence is too special. The 3 great non-humankind races all want to kill me, so I can't show up in public. All right, my clone's energy is about to run out. However, I believe that we'll meet again one day. After saying that, the old Taoist's clone's body exploded, turning into a wisp of soul light and dissipating in the heavenly tomb. Mobile reading site. Book address. To make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You'll see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 943. Qiangu Qiao. Put away your demonic body and follow me to a place. Yi Qinfeng ordered as he sent Qiangu Qiao, Lingyu, and the King of Slaughter into the universe mirror. Young Master Yi, what is this place? Qiangu Qiao's eyes widened in shock as he looked at the picturesque scenery, lush greenery, and rich spiritual energy in the universe mirror. This is my spatial treasure. You, Lingyu, and the rest can cultivate here in the future. Yi Qinfeng said indifferently. Spatial treasure. Qiangu Qiao raised his eyebrows in shock. Yi Qinfeng had such a treasure. With a spatial treasure, Yi Qinfeng was practically invincible. It turned out that it was just wishful thinking on his part to kill Yi Qinfeng. Qiangu Qiao, go and treat your injuries first. Pass the Tian race's inheritance to me later. I'm very interested in it. Yi Qinfeng ordered as he looked at the injured Qiangu Qiao. Qiangu Qiao could not resist Yi Qinfeng's order and nodded obediently. He went to an ancient tree and started to absorb the rich Ling Qi in the universe mirror. I wonder if the God-Eater brain will form a soul fragment after devouring the heavenly venerate soul. Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath and sat on the ground. He controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly refine the heavenly venerate soul. About an hour later, the God-Eater brain finished devouring the heavenly venerate soul. Although it did not form a soul fragment, it started its 5th transformation. Large amounts of brain cells split, forming new brain cells. A new subbrain was slowly forming. Once the God-Eater brain finished its 5th transformation, it would form a new subbrain. As the God-Eater brain started to transform, Yi Qinfeng tried to fuse with the drop of Heavenly Venerate's blood suppressed by the Chaos Divine Wood. Although the drop of Heavenly Venerate's blood had been tempered for hundreds of thousands of years and was not at its peak, it was still extremely powerful. Soul-devouring art, refine. Yi Qinfeng calmed his heart and controlled the God-Eater brain to refine the Heavenly Venerate's blood bit by bit. He tried to form a 3rd bloodline in his body and increase his strength quickly. Rumble. Suddenly, through the universe mirror, Yi Qinfeng sensed a powerful teleportation force spreading throughout the heavenly cemetery. Guessing that the heavenly cemetery was about to close, he left the universe mirror without hesitation, allowing the teleportation force to teleport him out of the heavenly cemetery. The spatial entrance has appeared. They're finally coming out. When Sha Tianya and the others who had been waiting outside the 9th level of the heaven staircase saw the spatial entrance appear above the 9th level of the heaven staircase, their eyes flashed with killing intent. Father, who do you think will come out of the heavenly tomb alive? Sha Bingyin stared at the entrance and asked in a low voice. Both of them are heaven-defying geniuses. Either one of them has the potential to become the final victor. However, from the looks of it, Qiangu Qiao has the highest chance of surviving the heavenly tomb. When Sha Tianya thought that Qiangu Qiao might have the help of the heavenly race's supreme being soul, he thought even more highly of him. Qiangu Qiao has a great opportunity and a great secret on him. However, don't forget that He Yen created 2 miracles in a row. Whether it was leaving his name on the 9 heavenly walls or passing all the trials of the lightning tribulation, it's enough to prove that he's not simple. The secret he's hiding is probably even more terrifying than Qingguqiu's. Lianxing, who was wearing a long robe with a phoenix pattern, spoke slowly. Although her hair was silver, she still exuded a mature charm. Yes, both of them are dragons among men. However, no matter how powerful they are, they can forget about leaving this place alive. Perhaps the opportunity they brought out from the heavenly cemetery will allow us to live for a few more years. Sha Tianya's eyes flashed with ruthlessness as he spoke with killing intent. That's right. No matter who they are, they deserve to die. The foundation of our Xingluo heavenly city cannot be shaken by them. Sha Bingyun nodded and spoke in a sinister tone. Bingyun, I'll leave the task of controlling the formation to you. As long as the forbidden space formation is not broken, they can forget about leaving this place alive even if they have heaven-defying abilities. Sha, Tinya said. As he spoke, a blurry figure flew out of the spatial black hole and appeared outside the 9 heavenly steps. Immediately, countless pairs of eyes looked over. Hei Yen, he actually became the final victor. It seems like Hei Yen has even more secrets than Qingguqiu. However, this is even better. Once we kill him, everything he has will be ours. After saying that, Sha Tinya and Lianxing flew into the sky, leaving behind 2 afterimages in the air as they flew toward Yi Qinfeng at an extremely fast speed to intercept him. Sha Tinya, Lianxing. A murderous light flashed in Yi Qinfeng's eyes when he saw Sha Tinya and Lianxing flying toward him. He ignited his dragon bloodline, increasing his soul power 7-fold as he transformed into his beast soul form. Hei Yen, stop your pointless struggle. Obediently hand over your fortuitous encounter, and I can give you a quick death. Otherwise, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. Sha Tianya glared fiercely at Yi Qinfeng as he spoke in a sinister manner. Sha Tianya, have you become an idiot? Yi Qinfeng placed his hands behind his back and said mockingly, If I tell you to kill yourself right now, will you die? You! Sha Tianya's expression changed when he heard Yi Qinfeng's mockery. Flames spewed out of his eyes as if he wanted to melt Yi Qinfeng. What? You're not convinced? Then I'll beat you until you're convinced. Yi Qinfeng sneered. The Tao of life and death gushed out of his body and evolved into the life and death Tao disc. It carried the power of the 2 extremes of life and death as it flew toward Sha Tianya. You're courting death. Sha Tianya roared. Starlight appeared behind him and turned into a resplendent star that collided with Yi Qinfeng's 2 extremes Tao of life and death. Boom! The 2 powerful attacks collided, setting off monstrous waves that caused the entire void to distort. Lianxing, hold the line. I'm going to kill him with my own hands. Relying on his absolute strength to withstand the 2 extremes Tao of life and death, Sha Tianya roared and condensed 8 killing halos. Surging killing energy gushed out from his body. 8 Sha Azura technique. Coincidentally, I also know this technique. Yi Qinfeng smiled. He circulated the 8 Sha Azura technique at high speed and condensed 8 killing halos. The killing intent accumulated from blood and bones permeated his body. Where did you learn my Xingluo Sky City's inheritance? Sha Tianya's pupils shrunk as he said in a sinister manner when he saw the 8 killing halos that Yi Qinfeng had formed. Do you want to know? Kneel down obediently and count out to me 3 times. Then I'll tell you. Yi Qinfeng sneered. Mother ***, I will skin you alive. After being ridiculed by Yi Qinfeng in front of everyone, Sha Tianya was completely enraged. He roared and attacked Yi Qinfeng with a chilling killing intent. It's still not certain who will die. True Dragon Transformation. Yi Qinfeng unleashed the surging power of the dragon in his body, transforming into a lifelike true dragon that shone with blood-red light. It shattered Sha Tianya's Tao skill and slammed into his body. Roar! As a dragon's roar resounded through the sky, Sha Tianya was sent flying by Yi Qinfeng's true dragon transformation, which increased his attack power. Just as Sha Tianya was forcefully stabilizing his body, Yi Qinfeng came up with the Emperor's Sky Banana in his hand. The boundless sword that was filled with the might of the heavenly Tao slashed down on Sha Tianya's body. PFFF. After being hit by Yi Qinfeng's peak-grade Tao skills consecutively, Sha Tianya, who had been careless, was injured. A mouthful of fresh blood spurted out from his mouth. Remember URL. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 944. Injured. The old city, Lord, was actually injured by him. Watermark advertisement test. Watermark advertisement test. Isn't this He Yen a little too monstrous? Looking at the scene of Sha Tianya vomiting blood, the dozens of Starry Sky City's experts who had sealed off the entire space were stunned. Their eyes widened in disbelief as they stared at the scene before them. Junior, I swear that I will grind your bones to dust. Sha Tianya wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth and erupted with a power that caused the world to change. He held a medial grade Tao artifact in his hand. It was filled with the power of slaughter, and its hilt looked like ghost wings as he chopped at Yi Qinfeng. Sword steps. As Sha Tianya attacked, a terrifying sword diagram formed beneath Yi Qinfeng's feet. Incomparably sharp, sword-based Tao runes flew out and rained down on Sha Tianya. While Sha Tianya relied on his absolute attack to shatter the sword steps, Yi Qinfeng immediately changed his moves. He executed the 7 swords of judgment and the Empyrean sword art consecutively, slashing apart heaven and earth as he ferociously attacked Sha Tianya. Why is it these moves? Lian Xing, who was hovering in midair and watching the battle in silence, frowned when she saw the familiar sword diagram formed beneath Yi Qinfeng's feet. This He Yen can't be that person, right? As Lian Xing watched, she could not help but recall Yi Qinfeng's invincible figure when he fought the 3 kings of assassins and killed one of them in front of everyone. If he did all this by himself, then his talent and methods are simply too terrifying. Lian Xing's brows were tightly knitted together. While she marveled at Yi Qinfeng's monstrous talent, she also felt a little pity for him. It was a pity that he was about to die here. Yi Qinfeng and Sha Tianya fought faster and more intensely. Their fierce attacks constantly tore through the void, but they were unable to shake the spatial restriction. Ghost killing array diagram. As the battle between the two reached its climax, Yi Qinfeng began to multitask. He summoned out the ghost slaughter array diagram that he had obtained from killing the blood demon. A large number of array runes shot towards Sha Tianya, forcibly interrupting his continuous attacks. Ghost killing array diagram. Why is the Tao treasure of the second elder of the true demon clan in your hands? Did you kill him? Sha Tianya's snow-white eyebrows twitched as he looked at the ghost-killing array diagram that was hovering above Yi Qinfeng's head. Not only did I kill him, but I also killed the blood demon envoy. The corners of Yi Qinfeng's mouth curled upwards. Under his control, the vermilion bird cauldron floated out of his body. Together with the ghost-killing array diagram, it charged toward Sha Tianya. Gufanqing. Yi Qinfeng controlled the vermilion bird cauldron and the ghost-killing array diagram to attack. Sha Tianya's pupils shrank as an ancient star with dazzling starlight flew out from his body. It kept on expanding as it crashed towards the vermilion bird cauldron with a force of a few 100 million jin. The terrifying force shook the entire void. Gu Dao treasure. When the Gu Dao treasure level Gu Fanqing blocked the vermilion bird cauldron and the ghost-killing array diagram, Yi Qinfeng was multitasking. He wielded the Emperor Heaven Sword and ignited his sword spirit as he continued to attack Sha Tianya. 6 styles of wind and thunder. Sha Tianya stabbed out with his sword. The wind Tao intent and the thunder Tao intent were rapidly deduced, forming a terrifying wind and thunder Tao intent. Each attack was stronger than the last as it attacked Yi Qinfeng. Sword Soul Fuse! Facing Sha Tianya's killer move, the sword soul flew out of Yi Qinfeng's body and fused into the Emperor Heaven's sword. This greatly increased the Emperor Heaven's sword's attacking power as it tore through the 6 styles of wind and thunder. Seeing that Yi Qinfeng had used the power of the sword soul to break through the surging power of the wind and thunder, Sha Tianya quickly stabbed out with his sword. It was like a sword light that pierced through the heavens, stabbing towards Yi Qinfeng's throat. Sha Tianya's sword was extremely fast, but Yi Qinfeng's reaction was even faster. The God-Eater brain quickly deduced and locked onto the trajectory of this sword. He stabbed out with his sword like a hot knife through butter, blocking this killing move. Stun Art! Just as Sha Tianya continued to attack, the soul power that Yi Qinfeng released turned into a terrifying stun art. It was like a heavy hammer that smashed into Sha Tianya's soul sea, causing his soul spirit to tremble and produce a trace of dizziness. Boundless Sky Sword! Sha Tianya's reaction was slightly delayed. Yi Qinfeng immediately slashed out with a sword that was filled with boundless Tao. The terrifying heavenly Tao intent ruthlessly cleaved onto Sha Tianya's body, breaking through his body's defenses and sending him flying. A deep sword wound appeared on Sha Tianya's chest as a large amount of blood flowed out. Heavens, the old city lord is injured again. Don't tell me that He Yan's strength has surpassed the old city lord's. Have you all forgotten? In Xingluo Heaven City, the old city lord is an invincible existence. No matter how monstrous He Yan is, he won't be able to cause any big waves. That's right. That He Yan can forget about leaving here alive. Seeing Yi Qinfeng injure Sha Tianya with a single slash, many Xingluo Heaven City's experts gulped. They were amazed by Yi Qinfeng's monstrous talent and strength. However, even more people were looking at him with eyes filled with death intent. He Yan, I have truly underestimated you. I never thought that you would have such means. Sha Tianya glanced at the sword wound on his chest, and his face turned abnormally ugly. He said in a cold voice, however, in Xingluo Heaven City, I am the heavens. Everything is under my control. After he finished speaking, a strange bead appeared in Sha Tianya's heart. When he activated the power of this bead, a powerful force surged from all directions and entered the bead. Fused with the power of Xingluo Heaven City. Feeling that Sha Tianya's strength was rising steadily, Yi Qinfeng's face changed. The sacred thunder of purple beginnings gushed out from his body and bombarded Sha Tianya with destructive power. 6 styles of wind and lightning. As the sacred thunder of purple beginnings attacked, Sha Tianya, who had fused with the power of Xingluo Heaven City, immediately blasted out the power of wind and lightning. It turned into a wind and lightning blade and directly shattered the sacred thunder of purple beginnings. How did Sha Tianya's attack power become so strong? Witnessing the scene of Sha Tianya shattering the sacred thunder of purple beginnings, Yi Qinfeng's face changed slightly. He was shocked by Sha Tianya's strength after fusing with the power of Xingluo Heaven City. It's over. Let me send you to hell. Sha Tianya roared and continued to attack Yi Qinfeng with the power of wind and lightning. 2 extreme Tao of life and death. Boundless heavenly sword. Sha Tianya attacked with a suffocating force. Yi Qinfeng continuously executed his supreme grade Tao skill. However, Sha Tianya was too terrifying. With a raise of his hand, he could shatter heaven and earth. The supreme grade Tao skill with astonishing offensive power was broken by him one after another. Sword steps. After his attacks were broken, Yi Qinfeng immediately used the sword steps to dodge. However, the moment he dodged, a mountain-like spatial pressure pressed down on his body, causing his body to tremble. His movement speed was greatly affected. 9 Dragon Jade Wall. At the crucial moment, Yi Qinfeng summoned the 9 Dragon Jade Wall and poured all of his soul power into it. A ferocious dragon flew out of the 9-dragon jade wall with its fangs bared and claws brandished. With a power that could destroy everything, it charged towards Sha Tinya. Power of Xingluo Heaven City, 8 layers of space. Feeling the destructive power of the ferocious dragon, Sha Tinya's face changed slightly. He constantly mobilized the power of Xingluo Heaven City, forming 8 layers of space in front of him to block the fatal attack of the 9-dragon jade wall. Boom! 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 Earth-shattering, cracking sounds rang out. Under the attack of the ferocious dragon, the layers of space were shattered, forcing Sha Tinya to dodge pathetically. When Sha Tinya dodged the attack of the ferocious dragon, Yi Qinfeng suddenly disappeared into the chaotic void. This strange scene shocked everyone present. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 945. Where is he? Where did He Yan go? How did he suddenly disappear? Seeing Yi Qinfeng mysteriously disappear into the void, the experts of Xingluo Heaven City, who were controlling the void, opened their eyes wide as they searched for Yi Qinfeng's figure. Father, where did He Yan go? Sha Bingyun, who was greatly shocked, stepped on the void and arrived beside Sha Tinya. I really underestimated that He Yan. He actually has an extremely high-grade spatial treasure, the experienced and knowledgeable Sha Tinya said with a serious expression. What? Spatial treasure? How could He Yan have such a legendary item? Could it be that the Star Emperor gave it to him? Sha Bingyun said dumbfoundedly. Regardless of who gave it to him, it would not change his fate of being killed. Sha Tinya's eyes flashed with passion as he said, You guys continue to seal this place. I will find him. As he spoke, Sha Tinya released his powerful soul and searched the universe realm like a carpet. While Sha Tinya was searching for the universe realm, the level 6 combat beast Emperor Lianxing also released her powerful soul to sense the hidden space of the universe realm. However, the existence of the universe realm was too heaven-defying. The soul released by Sha Tinya and Lianxing could not sense the hidden location of the universe realm. Heaven City's power attack. Since the soul search failed, Sha Tinya immediately mobilized the power of Xingluo Heaven City and spread it to the entire void. He used a wide area attack to search for the universe realm. There it is. Under the omnidirectional attack of Xingluo Heaven City, Sha Tinya felt something was wrong. His gaze locked onto a spot that was isolated from the Heaven City's power and surging with energy ripples. Heaven City's power / After locking onto the hidden space of the universe realm, Sha Tinya immediately merged the power of Xingluo Heaven City into his body, greatly increasing his strength. Holding the mid-grade Dao tool slaughtering sword, he slashed forward. Boom! The incomparably sharp slaughtering sword slashed onto the dust-like universe realm, exploding with an endless amount of light. It was like a wave that caused the void to tremble violently. And this Sha Tinya is quite skilled. He actually managed to discover the location of the universe realm. Sensing that the universe mirror was being attacked, Yi Qinfeng revealed a surprised expression. However, the universe mirror was impregnable. Sha Tinya had fused with the power of Xingluo Sky City, so his full-powered attack was unable to shake the universe mirror in the slightest. After that strike, Sha Tinya continued to fuse with the power of Xingluo Sky City. He held the sword of slaughter in his hand and attacked with all his might, wanting to break through the defense of the universe realm. However, no matter how hard Sha Tinya tried, he was unable to shake the universe mirror, let alone break through its defenses. Helpless, Sha Tinya called for Lianxing's help. The two of them worked together and attacked with all their might for more than 2 hours. However, they still could not shake the universe mirror in the slightest. Helpless, Sha Tianya, who had expended a lot of energy, could only give up and think of another way. Sha Tianya, did you really think that you could trap me to death? Soon, I will make you all pay the price in blood and make all your efforts go to waste. Sensing that Sha Tianya and the others were unable to break through the universe mirror's defenses, Yi Chenfeng relaxed and went to find Qiangu Qiu, who was doing his best to heal himself. Qiangu Qiu, pass on the heavenly race's inheritance to me. Yi Chenfeng ordered without any room for objection. It's young Master Yi. Qiangu Qiu respectfully replied. Without hiding anything, he told Yi Chenfeng the complete cultivation chant of the Green Heaven secret art. Although the Green Heaven secret art's cultivation chant was profound and difficult to remember, Qiangu Qiu only needed to recite it once for the god-devouring brain to memorize it. Qiangu Qiu, just who are you, and how did you encounter the heavenly race's soul? Yi Chenfeng was curious about Qiangu Qiu's identity, so he asked, I'm afraid that I'll have to disappoint young Master Yi. My background is not as powerful as it is rumored to be. I'm just a lucky person who crawled out of hell after my family was destroyed. Qiangu Qiu told Yi Chenfeng about his tragic past, including how he encountered the heavenly race's soul in an ancient battlefield and obtained the demon's body. I didn't expect our backgrounds to be so similar. I don't have a strong background either. I'm only where I am today because of my hard work. Yi Chenfeng said with a faint smile. Really? Qiangu Qiu raised his eyebrows and said in surprise, Really, I don't even know who my birth parents are or where they are. Yi Chenfeng laughed at himself and said, All right, since you followed me, I won't treat you badly. I'll pass on the dual extreme life and death Dao to you. Focus and memorize it well. After obtaining the Green Heaven secret art and the 3 low-grade saint arts, Yi Chenfeng didn't hide anything and taught Qiangu Qiu the cultivation chant of the dual extreme life and death Dao. Qiangu Qiu, cultivate well. If I need you, I'll call for you. With that, Yi Chenfeng left Qiangu Qiu with an ultimate Emperor Dao pill and left. He found a quiet place to cultivate the Green Heaven secret art and the Heavenly Master's life essence blood to increase his strength. Time passed by quickly. Just as Yi Chenfeng was immersed in his cultivation and his strength was increasing rapidly, the universe realm was attacked again. Sha Tianya invited several formation grandmasters and spent a large amount of supreme-grade formation flags to set up an extremely powerful offensive formation where the universe mirror was hidden, continuously attacking the universe mirror. However, a month had passed and the universe realm's defensive restrictions showed no signs of being damaged. However, the killing array had used up a third of its energy. This made Sha Tianya frown even more. Where did He Yen get this spatial treasure? From the looks of it, it most likely came from the heavenly region. Sha Tianya muttered to himself with furrowed brows. If he couldn't break through the universe realm's defense, he would definitely continue to waste time with Yi Chenfeng. The longer this dragged on, the more likely it was that something unexpected would happen. The killing array continued to attack. Yi Chenfeng, who had cleared his mind of all distractions, spent a month refining the Heavenly Master's life essence blood and formed strands of the Heavenly Master's life essence blood in his body. The Heavenly Master's life essence blood was superior to the Heavenly Master's life essence blood. It was extremely powerful. In the entire Heavenly Clan, only experts who had reached the Tao Sovereign Realm could transform their Heavenly Master's life essence blood into the Heavenly Master's life essence blood. As Yi Chenfeng refined more and more Heavenly Master's life essence blood, the Heavenly Master's life essence blood in his body became denser and denser. His strength also reached the limit of a Class 3 combat Beast Emperor and touched the bottleneck of a breakthrough. Just as Yi Chenfeng was refining the Heavenly Master's life essence blood and breaking through to the Class 4 combat Beast Emperor, the God-Eater brain that had devoured the Heavenly Master's life essence blood completed its 5th transformation. It condensed a powerful soul fragment and the God-Eater brain's strength increased greatly. It even split into a new subbrain. The God-Eater brain had finally completed its 5th transformation and split into a new subbrain. Who should I give this subbrain to? Yi Qinfeng revealed a faint smile. A figure involuntarily appeared in his mind. The God-Eater brain had just evolved not long ago. After refining a large amount of Heavenly Master's life essence blood, Yi Qinfeng's body was overflowing with soul power, and his foundation was incomparably solid. Feeling that everything was ready, Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath and continued to refine the Heavenly Master's life essence blood that contained a large amount of energy. He used all his strength to break through to the Class 4 Combat Beast Emperor realm. Mobile reading website. Book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 946. It's been more than 2 months, and He Yan still hasn't come out. I'm afraid he wants to rely on us to kill us. Sha Bingyin said in a low voice as she frowned as she looked at the collapsing void under the attacks of the offensive array. He Yan wasn't stupid. He knew that he would definitely die if he came out. Sha Tianya sat cross-legged below the 9th level of the heaven staircase, constantly thinking of a way to break through the defensive restrictions of the universe realm. Suddenly, a blurry figure appeared in the nearly exhausted offensive array. Yi Qinfeng, who had been cultivating in the universe realm for more than 2 months, had finally come out. The instant he appeared, Sha Tianya, Lianxing, and the others immediately sensed him. They soared into the sky and flew toward Yi Qinfeng. They wanted to join forces and kill him. Just as they were in the air, they suddenly discovered that the wind and clouds above the spatial restrictions were throbbing. A large amount of black clouds crazily surged over like an army of thousands of men and horses, covering the void and devouring all light. Tribulation clouds. Why would tribulation clouds appear? Could it be? Seeing the tribulation clouds in the sky getting thicker and thicker, Sha Tianya and the others simultaneously looked at Yi Qinfeng, who was engulfed by the offensive array. They never thought that Yi Qinfeng would use such a method to break out of this situation. No matter how strong the restrictions they laid down were, they wouldn't be able to block the attacks of the heavenly Tao. Father, what should we do? These tribulation clouds were probably attracted by He Yan. Should we still use restrictions to trap him? Sha Bingyin asked somewhat anxiously. Aside from me and your mother, everyone else should leave this place. If your mother and I fail to kill him, you must stop him outside the area of the tribulation, no matter the cost. Sha Tianya clenched his teeth and made a prompt decision. All right. Sha Bingyin nodded and immediately opened the exit of the restriction. She led dozens of Xingluo Heaven City experts away from the 9th level of the heaven staircase. Lianxing, let's join forces and kill him before the heavenly punishment descends. Sha Tianya held the sword of slaughter and said with heavy killing intent. All right. Lianxing summoned a low-grade Dao artifact long whip that was covered in icicles and resembled a swimming dragon. Together with Sha Tianya, she attacked Yi Qinfeng, who was trapped in the killing formation. In order to end the battle as quickly as possible, Sha Tianya and Lianxing merged with the power of Xingluo Heavenly City and raised their strength to the limit. They tore through the offensive formation and attacked Yi Qinfeng. Seeing that Sha Tianya and Sha Tianya's Dao skills were about to land on his body, Yi Qinfeng immediately hid inside the universe mirror, evading their attacks. Following that, Yi Qinfeng left the universe realm, using the sword steps to avoid their attacks from afar. Rumble. While Yi Qinfeng was dodging Sha Tianya and Lianxing's attacks, a deafening clap of thunder came from the 9th floor of the heaven staircase. It shook the entire void, alarming all the experts in the star field. Tribulation clouds. Why would tribulation clouds appear in the sky above the 9th floor of the heaven staircase? Could Qinggu Qiu, or He Yen have escaped from the heavenly tomb. It must be them. Only heaven-defying geniuses like them could attract heavenly punishment when breaking through. Looking at the vast sea of tribulation clouds in the sky above the 9th floor of the heaven staircase, as well as the silver snakes dancing in the clouds, almost all the experts in the star field domain guessed the truth. However, they did not know which of the two heaven-defying geniuses had left the heavenly tomb alive. Xingluo Heavenly City's power suppress. Yi Qinfeng dodged their attacks again and again. Sha Tianya and Lianxing controlled the Xingluo Heavenly City's power to suppress him and limit his speed. Following that, Sha Tianya and Lianxing used their ultimate moves to attack Yi Qinfeng. They wanted to kill him before the heavenly punishment descended. However, every time Yi Qinfeng was in danger, he would hide inside the universe mirror. This way, Sha Tianya and Lianxing could not do anything to him. Slowly, Yi Qinfeng's heavenly punishment formed. Endless lightning bolts with destructive power broke through the slowly rotating tribulation clouds and bombarded the forbidden space. Rumble. The forbidden space that Sha Tianya and the others had spent a great deal of effort to lay down was attacked by the endless lightning bolts. It trembled slightly but did not show any signs of breaking. The obstruction of the attacks completely enraged the heavenly punishment. The vast sea of tribulation clouds rapidly revolved, and more lightning bolts attacked the forbidden space. Slowly, cracks appeared in the forbidden space, causing the entire forbidden space to tremble. Tianya, this place is too dangerous. Once the forbidden space shatters, the heavenly punishment that has been accumulating for so long will descend. You and I are too strong, so we will have to endure even more attacks. We have to leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, both of us will be in danger. Lianxing's expression changed when she saw the forbidden space being engulfed by the heavenly punishment lightning. It was as if doomsday had arrived. She did not dare to stay any longer. Good. Sha Tianya glanced at Yi Qinfeng, who had appeared in the distance. Although he was unwilling, he did not want to risk his life. He decided to leave this dangerous place first and wait for Yi Qinfeng's heavenly punishment to pass before thinking of a way to kill him. Where do you think you're going? Sha Tianya and Lianxing thought of retreating. However, Yi Qinfeng did not give them the opportunity to do so. He used sword steps to approach them and took the initiative to attack. You're courting death. Sha Tianya was enraged when he saw Yi Qinfeng trying to stop him. He crazily merged the power of Xingluo Heavenly City and blasted out the terrifying power of wind and lightning. Like a swamp of wind and lightning, it shot toward Yi Qinfeng. Vermilion bird cauldron, smash! The swamp of wind and lightning tore through the void. Yi Qinfeng immediately used the Gu Dao treasure's vermilion bird cauldron. Like a blazing meteor, it smashed into the swamp of wind and lightning, forcefully delaying the swamp's attack for a breath. Using this time, Yi Qinfeng used sword steps to avoid the swamp of wind and lightning. Then he condensed 5 heavenly demon devil ropes and sealed the space around them. At this moment, a series of crisp cracking sounds rang out. The spatial restriction was unable to withstand the continuous attacks of the heavenly punishment, and once again, a large number of cracks appeared. Bolts of heavenly punishment lightning with astonishing destructive power passed through the cracks and blasted towards Yi Qinfeng and the other two. Tianya, the space around them is about to break. We need to leave quickly. If we're too late, we might be in danger. Lianxing used her whip to shatter the 5 heavenly demon devil ropes. She wanted to forcefully open the space around them and leave with Sha Tianya. Boundless heavenly sword. The instant Lianxing opened the space around them, Yi Qinfeng stimulated his Empyrean bloodline for the first time. He evolved the power of the heavenly Tao and slashed out a sword strike that contained the boundless great Tao, forcefully interrupting Sha Tianya and Lianxing's thoughts of escaping. Rumble, 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 rumble. In the blink of an eye, more and more heavenly punishment lightning came crashing down, bombarding the three of them. However, because Sha Tianya and Lian Xing were clearly stronger than Yi Qinfeng, the attacks they received were far greater than Yi Qinfeng's. Yi Qinfeng had spared no effort to force them to stay behind. He wanted them to disperse the first wave of heavenly punishment that had been accumulating for a long time and lessen the pressure on him. Go! Sha Tianya and Lian Xing worked together to shatter Yi Qinfeng's boundless heavenly sword and continue to break out. However, Yi Qinfeng was like a maggot that stuck to their bones, leaving them with nowhere to hide. Just as they flew out of the restriction's exit, the restriction in the void could not withstand the heavenly punishment lightning's attack and was destroyed. The increasingly intense, destructive lightning poured down like a long river, directly annihilating Yi Qinfeng and the other two in the violent lightning heavenly punishment. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button below to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blogs, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 947. Rumble. Under the endless attacks of the berserk lightning heavenly punishment, the entire star field shook violently. Cracks appeared on the hard ground as if the entire world was about to collapse. Divine demon bloodline ignition. Golden body arts. While enduring the destructive attacks of the berserk lightning heavenly punishment, Yi Qinfeng decisively ignited his divine demon bloodline and transformed into his divine demon body. Using the golden body arts, a layer of golden defensive light formed on the surface of his skin, raising his physical defense to the limit. As Yi Qinfeng's cultivation was far lower than Sha Tianya and Lian Xing's, the attacks of the heavenly punishment he endured were far less than the two of them. Relying on his near high-grade Dao artifact's body, Yi Qinfeng summoned his sword soul and used its power to tear apart the berserk, lightning, heavenly punishment. Yi Qinfeng relied on his powerful body to withstand the berserk, lightning, heavenly punishment's baptism. However, Sha Tianya and Lian Xing, who endured the majority of the attacks, were injured. If they hadn't fused with the power of Xingluo Sky City and blocked most of the attacks, the berserk, lightning, heavenly punishment would have been enough to heavily injure them. Run! Sha Tianya fused with the power of Xingluo Sky City and forcefully tore apart the berserk, lightning, heavenly punishment. Together with Lian Xing, who was slightly pale and had traces of blood on the corner of her mouth, they quickly flew out of Yi Qinfeng's tribulation zone. Where do you think you're going? While Sha Tianya and Lian Xing tried to break out of the encirclement, Yi Qinfeng, who was enduring the berserk, lightning, heavenly punishment, quickly chased after them. Using the terrifying berserk, lightning, heavenly punishment, he constantly attacked the two of them, aggravating their injuries. Run! Run! When Sha Bingyun and the others who were guarding outside saw Yi Qinfeng flying over with the terrifying berserk, lightning, heavenly punishment, they were scared out of their wits. They fled in all directions, afraid that they would enter his tribulation zone. Since Yi Qinfeng intended to control Xingluo Sky City in the future, he didn't use the berserk, lightning, heavenly punishment to start a massacre. Instead, he focused on chasing after Sha Tianya and Lian Xing. Rumble. Buildings in the star field were destroyed by the berserk, lightning, heavenly punishment. The entire star field fell into chaos because of Yi Qinfeng's heavenly punishment. The power of Xingluo Heavenly City, Eightfolds of space. Enduring the majority of wild thunder heavenly punishment's attacks, Sha Tianya and Sha Tianya's injuries continued to worsen. They simply could not shake off Yi Qinfeng's entanglement. Left with no other choice, Sha Tianya and Yi Shiwen, who were covered in blood and gnashing their teeth in hatred, borrowed the power of the Xingluo Heavenly City to form 8 layers of folded space, stacking layer by layer to block the attacks of the wild thunder heavenly punishment. The gate had opened. While the 8 folds of space temporarily blocked the wild thunder heavenly punishment's attack. The somewhat battered Sha Tianya forcefully opened the star domain gate, wanting to leave this place. The realm gate opened, and Yi Qinfeng suddenly took out the cloud-treading boots he had borrowed from Qin Guqiu. It instantly boosted his speed, and he charged forward with Tian Fa, Tempest 6 styles. Seeing Yi Qinfeng attempt to charge out of the gate, Sha Tianya and Sha Tianya immediately used the power of wind and lightning to stop him. However, most of their attacks were focused on defending against heavenly punishment. Thus, the amount of attacks they could muster was limited. True Dragon Transformation. Facing Sha Tianya and Sha Tianya's attacks, Yi Qinfeng immediately ignited his heavenly dragon energy, transforming into a ferocious true dragon. He tore through the two's attacks and charged out of the star domain with the terrifying heavenly punishment, appearing in Xingluo Heavenly City. Tianya, are we still chasing after him? Yi Qinfeng disappeared with Tian Fa. The heavenly punishment attacking Sha Tianya and Sha Tianya had also disappeared. Lian Xing's breathing was ragged, and her silver hair was slightly messy. Chase after him. We cannot let him leave Xingluo Heavenly City alive. Yi Qinfeng's talent was too terrifying, and Sha Tianya was determined to obtain Yi Qinfeng's secrets. After hesitating for a moment, Sha Tianya and Lian Xing took the risk and flew out of the gate. However, when they flew out of the gate and appeared in the chaotic Xingluo Heavenly City, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. They were shocked to discover that 2 black doomsday suns had broken through the violently rotating tribulation clouds. They were releasing a power that caused people to shudder and distort the void. Double sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. This Hei Yan was actually such a monster to attract such a destructive heavenly punishment. Sha Tianya and Sha Tianya were intimidated by Yi Qinfeng's heavenly punishment and did not dare to approach. The entire Xingluo Heavenly City had also descended into chaos because of the double sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. Seeing the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment in the sky and feeling the destructive power released by the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment, the experts of Xingluo Heavenly City were so frightened that they fled in panic. The Heavenly Sovereign's blood was indeed abnormal. It had actually attracted such a destructive heavenly punishment. When Xia Wendy had broken through to level 5 combat Beast Emperor, she had attracted the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. With her strength and foundation at that time, she had a slim chance of surviving the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment, let alone this double sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. Cloud treading boots, speed amplification. When the double sun extinguishing heavenly punishment appeared, Yi Qinfeng did not use his full strength to face it. Instead, he activated the cloud treading boots and increased his speed to the peak. He attracted the terrifying heavenly punishment to move out of Xingluo Heavenly City. He wanted to leave Xingluo Heavenly City as soon as possible. Rumble. While Yi Qinfeng was flying at high speed in the sky, the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment broke through the rapidly revolving tribulation clouds. Like 2 meteors falling from the sky, the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment chased after Yi Qinfeng. Tianya, I'm afraid that we won't be able to stop Hei Yan from leaving Xingluo Heavenly City. Seeing Yi Qinfeng getting closer and closer to the edge of Xingluo Heavenly City, Lian Xing said with a frown, once Yi Qinfeng left Xingluo Heavenly City, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens for them to kill Yi Qinfeng. Let's go. We'll follow him and find an opportunity to kill him after he passes through the heavenly punishment. Sha Tianya said in a low voice. He took the risk and followed behind Yi Qinfeng, waiting for the final opportunity. When Yi Qinfeng appeared at the edge of Xingluo Heavenly City with his cloud-treading boots, the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment descended. The terrifying power instantly tore apart the restrictions of Xingluo Heavenly City. Heavenly demon dance in all directions. Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath. He raised the heavenly halberd in his hand and raised the strength of his physical body to the limit. He continuously slashed out 8 heavenly demon halberd shadows to defend against the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. Boom! 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 When the 8 halberd shadows struck the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment, they immediately erupted with destructive power. They tore apart the heavenly punishment's Tao patterns and weakened the might of the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. However, the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment were too terrifying. Yi Qinfeng erupted with a strength of nearly 140 million jin. He brandished the heavenly demon dance in all directions to defend against the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment for more than 10 breaths of time. The 8 heavenly demon halberd shadows shattered, and Yi Qinfeng was directly annihilated by the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. However, Yi Qinfeng raised his physical body's defense to the limit. The 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment's full power attack did not destroy his physical body. Sword Soul, Sword Tao diagram. Withstanding the attack of the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment, Yi Qinfeng activated the strongest power of his Sword Soul and condensed the Sword Tao diagram. Countless Sword Tao patterns intertwined and tore apart the heavenly punishment's Tao diagram. He continued to move out of Xingluo Sky City. After about half an incense stick's worth of time, Yi Qinfeng finally left the violently shaking Xingluo Sky City under the destructive attack of the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. He was blasted tens of thousands of meters into the ground by the 2 terrifying sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. Tao intent of heaven and earth, Tao intent of 5 elements, Tao intent of life and death condense. Yi Qinfeng lost control of his body. He immediately deduced the 3 fused Tao intents to the limit, forming a terrifying Tao intent light wheel. Together with the Sword Tao diagram, he resisted the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment's attack with all his might. Under Yi Qinfeng's most powerful Tao intent attack, the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment's attack was continuously weakened. Yi Qinfeng forcefully stabilized his body and fell into the black wind grassland. Heavenly venerable bloodline ignite. After stabilizing the surging qi and blood in his body, Yi Qinfeng ignited his heavenly venerate bloodline and fought with all his might. The heavenly venerate bloodline was very special. When Yi Qinfeng ignited it, it immediately fused with the divine devil bloodline. Under the amplification of the 2 bloodlines, Yi Qinfeng's strength rose steadily. He deduced terrifying Tao intents and resisted the destructive attack of the 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishment's attack with all his might. Mobile reading website, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 948. Boundless Heavenly Sword after raising his strength to the limit. Yi Qinfeng ignited the Emperor's Sky Sword Spirit and slashed out the boundless sword against the pitch-black doomsday. With this slash, Yi Qinfeng's bloodline power was pushed to the limit. Numerous Tao intents fused into the tip of the heavenly sword and slashed at the doomsday, forcefully causing cracks to appear on the doomsday. However, in the blink of an eye, the cracks on the doomsday were repaired by the terrifying heavenly tribulation. The 2 doomsday released heavenly punishment Tao patterns and continuously attacked Yi Qinfeng's body. Even though Yi Qinfeng's physical body was extremely powerful, he still couldn't withstand the attacks of the heavenly punishment Tao patterns released by the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. The defensive golden light that covered Yi Qinfeng's body was constantly shattered. When the heavenly punishment Tao patterns imprinted on his body, they severely injured his body and caused a large amount of blood to flow out crazily. Even though his injuries were worsening, Yi Qinfeng didn't panic. He eliminated all distracting thoughts and focused on deducing the Tao intents that he had comprehended to withstand the baptism of the two sun extinguishing heavenly punishments. Under the heavy pressure, Yi Qinfeng's control over the Tao intents became more and more adept. He ignored the injuries on his body and continuously fused the Tao intents of the 5 elements, heaven and earth, and life and death into the sword Tao diagram. They formed a large number of Tao patterns that flowed around the sword Tao diagram and increased its power. Kacha! The sword Tao diagram's power increased rapidly and crazily crushed the doomsday Tao patterns. The terrifying power shattered the entire void, causing pitch-black cracks that were filled with destructive power. He withstood it. He actually withstood 2 sun extinguishing heavenly punishments. His strength was simply too terrifying. Lian Xing's eyes were filled with shock when she saw Yi Qinfeng standing in the middle of the destructive storm and rapidly deducing the Tao intents to withstand the sun extinguishing heavenly punishments. If she was the one undergoing the tribulation, she definitely wouldn't be as outstanding as Yi Qinfeng. This He Yan had to be eliminated. If he was allowed to continue growing, he would definitely shake the foundation of Xingluo Heaven City. The more outstanding Yi Qinfeng was, the more Sha Tianyao wanted to kill him. If he did not get rid of Yi Qinfeng, he would not be able to eat or sleep in peace. Yi Qinfeng deduced his Tao intent to the extreme and resisted with all his might for 30 minutes. Cracks appeared on the sword Tao diagram that was filled with 3 fused Tao intents. An unimaginable power passed through the sword Tao diagram and struck Yi Qinfeng's body. If it weren't for Yi Qinfeng's heaven-defying body, this gravity would have crushed his body. However, as the power of the divinity and Empyrean bloodlines began to fade away, the defensive power of Yi Qinfeng's body began to rapidly decline. Beneath the baptism of the heavenly Tao rules, his flesh and blood began to rupture, revealing white bones in many places. Finally, Yi Qinfeng could not hold on any longer. Seeing Yi Qinfeng's body begin to rupture and reveal white bones, Sha Tianya, who had been waiting in the distance, revealed a cold smile. He said eerily, "It's best that he's dead. Saves me the trouble of having to do it myself." Just as Sha Tianya and the others were cursing Yi Qinfeng in their hearts, multiple terrifying heavenly punishment Tao patterns broke through Yi Qinfeng's body. Like a wild horse that had escaped its reins, the heavenly punishment Tao patterns crazily destroyed Yi Qinfeng's body. More than half of his body became a bloody mess. His body was ruptured, his meridians were damaged, and his internal organs were dislocated. However, Yi Qinfeng did not panic at all. Just as he was on the brink of death, he began to burn the Empyrean life blood in the chaos divine wood. His body released a shocking amount of vital energy. Yi Qinfeng's body was damaged, and his vital energy was severely depleted. When his Empyrean life blood burned, the severely depleted cells in his body were stimulated and became active. They crazily merged with the Empyrean life blood. Under such circumstances, the effects of the fusion were at their best. In just 5 breaths, Yi Qinfeng had recovered his depleted qi and blood. All the cells in his body had become stronger, and the injuries on his body were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. His aura, which had just declined, had risen to its peak. Immortal devil bloodline, Empyrean life blood, burn. After his vital energy recovered, Yi Qinfeng did not hesitate to burn his immortal devil bloodline and Empyrean life blood. The thick power of the bloodline soared into the sky like smoke signals, piercing through the firmament and weakening the power formed by the laws of heaven and earth. Break! Yi Qinfeng let out a sound like a golden bell. Nearly 140 million points of power exploded. His fists shook the heavenly punishment Tao patterns, shattering the 2 heavenly punishment Tao attacks. The shattered sword Tao diagram was rapidly repaired by Yi Qinfeng's Empyrean life blood that was crazily burning. At this moment, Yi Qinfeng's power and Tao intent had reached their limits like a phoenix bathed in flames. The terrifying power shook the heavens and the earth, shocking the distant Xingluo Heaven City experts. They were dumbfounded. Heavens, is this guy really human? How can a human have such power? It was too terrifying. He didn't know if Senior Star Emperor had such monstrous strength when he was at his age. Sword Dao Intent. 3 great Dao intents shatter the heavenly punishment Dao. With his power skyrocketing to the limit, Yi Qinfeng began a full-scale counterattack. He controlled the Sword Dao diagram to attack the heavenly punishment Dao with all his strength. As long as he could shatter the heavenly punishment Dao with his strength and foundation, he could completely pass the heavenly punishment Dao. Boom! 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 When Yi Qinfeng attacked the heavenly punishment Dao at all costs, the heavenly punishment Dao patterns released by the other heavenly punishment Dao pattern bombarded his body. It constantly tore apart his body's defenses and cracked his body that was comparable to a high-grade Dao artifact. While Yi Qinfeng was using all his strength to shatter the heavenly punishment Dao on the right, his body was also heavily injured by the heavenly punishment Dao on the left. His flesh and blood kept shattering, and his meridians were broken. Once again, his white bones were exposed. The bones were the hardest part of the human body. Yi Qinfeng's bones had been tempered thousands of times and became incomparably hard. The heavenly punishment Dao couldn't shatter his bones immediately. Empyrean life blood, burn. With his body on the verge of collapse, Yi Qinfeng once again burned his Empyrean life blood and released a majestic bloodline power to repair his body. He absorbed this extremely precious life blood to strengthen the Empyrean bloodline in his body. He was going all out to break through to the 4th grade Beast Emperor realm. This Heiyan's foundation was too deep. 2 rounds of heavenly punishment Dao might not be able to kill him. Lianxing said with a complicated tone as she watched Yi Qinfeng's body being shattered by the heavenly punishment Dao time and time again and being repaired by a mysterious power. Lianxing, when the heavenly punishment Dao is about to dissipate, you and I will launch a fatal attack to kill him. If we can't kill him this time, he will definitely become a huge threat to us, Sha Tinya said with a grave expression. Okay. Although Lianxing's killing intent towards Yi Qinfeng was not as strong as Sha Tinya's, she still obeyed Sha Tinya and secretly accumulated her strength, preparing to launch a fatal attack on Yi Qinfeng at any time. Boundless heavenly sword, break! Yi Qinfeng continued attacking for more than an hour. Finally, thousands of cracks appeared on the right side of the heavenly punishment Dao. Feeling that the time was right, Yi Qinfeng fused with the Empyrean Heaven Sword and used the man-weapon unity to deduce the heavenly Dao. Like the boundless great Dao, the Empyrean Heaven Sword slashed at the shattered right side of the heavenly punishment Dao. Boom! Under Yi Qinfeng's all-out attack, the right side of the heavenly punishment Dao shattered. Immediately after, the heavenly punishment Dao exploded with a destructive power that was enough to heavily injure a level 6 combat Beast Emperor expert. It collapsed space and bombarded Yi Qinfeng's body at close range, sending him flying. His body heavily smashed into the ground, creating a bottomless hole in the ground that was filled with cracks. Bang! Just when everyone was guessing whether Yi Qinfeng was dead or alive, Yi Qinfeng, who was covered in blood, flew out from the hole in the ground like a blood-soaked god of war. He brandished the Empyrean Heaven Sword and slashed at the last round of the heavenly punishment Dao. Mobile reading website. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 949. The God-Eater Brain was deducing Dao intent. While Yi Qinfeng was burning his heavenly venerate blood and attacking the sun, extinguishing heavenly punishment, the God-Eater Brain in his soul was rapidly deducing and comprehending the profound Dao intent released by the sun, extinguishing heavenly punishment. Could it be that this fellow couldn't be killed? The tall and sturdy butcher, who was wearing black armor and emitting an intense oppressive aura, shook his head and sighed as he watched Yi Qinfeng challenge the heavenly punishment. He was completely convinced. Although Pejun didn't say anything, there wasn't a trace of battle intent in his eyes. At this moment, he was completely convinced by Yi Qinfeng and was filled with admiration. As for Dao Kuei, who was in the crowd, a look of regret appeared on his face. He finally understood what Yi Qinfeng had said back then. He truly regretted it. With only the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment left, the pressure on Yi Qinfeng was greatly reduced. However, he intended to use the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment to temper himself and absorb the heavenly venerate blood to break through the bottleneck. After an entire day, Yi Qinfeng's comprehension of the 5 elements Tao intent had risen to the 8th heavenly layer, greatly increasing his Tao intent attacks. After another half a day, Yi Qinfeng's comprehension of the life and death Tao intent had risen to the 9th heavenly layer. He was only one more layer away from condensing the life and death Tao diagram. Lian Xing, we can't wait any longer. Let's kill him now. Seeing Yi Qinfeng's comprehension of the Tao intent rising and the heavenly punishment nearing its end, Sha Tinya finally couldn't wait any longer and decided to take the risk to kill him. Okay. Lian Xing nodded and stepped on the myriad ice plate. She charged towards Yi Qinfeng with Sha Tinya, taking the risk to enter the area where he was undergoing his tribulation to kill him with all their strength. What were the old city lord and the others doing? Of course, it was to kill He Yan. If He Yan was allowed to survive such a terrifying heavenly punishment and continue to grow, wouldn't Xingluo Heaven City change? Wasn't this too despicable? What was despicable and despicable? Since ancient times, the winner takes all and the loser takes all. If Xingluo Heavenly City was in the hands of the Sha clan, who would dare to say anything bad about it? Seeing Sha Tinya and Lian Xing take the risk to charge into Yi Qinfeng's tribulation zone, the surrounding crowd burst into an uproar. Many people revealed looks of disdain, but even more people rejoiced in their misfortune. Myriad ice plate, myriad ice heaven after entering Yi Qinfeng's tribulation zone. Sha Bingyun didn't wait for Yi Qinfeng's annihilating heavenly punishment to split into multiple attacks. She immediately controlled the myriad ice plate under her feet to create dense icicles that shot towards Yi Qinfeng. Gu Fanqing Sha Tinya also made his move at the same time, controlling the Gu Dao treasure Gu Fanqing to become bigger and bigger. Like a meteorite with ancient vein patterns on its surface, it crashed forward with a force of over 100 million jin. Suzaku dinged 2 extremes of life and death at this critical moment. Yi Qinfeng used his left hand to throw the Suzaku ding at Gu Fanqing. At the same time, the Tao of life and death in his right hand transformed into the Tao of life and death to attack the myriad ice tide. While defending against the annihilating heavenly punishment, he also defended against Sha Tinya and Lian Xing's fatal attacks. Beast Soul, Form Yi Qinfeng, forcibly neutralized the attacks of the 2 Tao treasures. Sha Tinya and Lian Xing both ignited the power of their bloodlines and transformed into their beast soul forms. They condensed 8 killing halos and continued to attack Yi Qinfeng. However, at this time, the annihilating heavenly punishment's power had increased exponentially. It split off nearly 80% of its power and attacked Sha Tinya and Lian Xing. After experiencing it personally, Sha Tinya finally understood how terrifying the annihilating heavenly punishment was. He didn't dare to imagine how Yi Qinfeng could withstand such a terrifying heavenly punishment until now. He also didn't dare to imagine how Yi Qinfeng could shatter the annihilating heavenly punishment. Lian Xing, let's work together to deduce the Gu Fanqing art and kill him. Relying on their powerful strength to withstand the annihilating heavenly punishment's attack, Sha Tinya and Lian Xing merged their Tao intents together and unleashed their strongest inheritance. When the 2 of them deduced their Tao intents to the limit, they condensed numerous stars covered in ancient Tao runes and attacked Yi Qinfeng like a meteor shower. Green Heaven Secret Art, Heavenly Tao diagram Yi Qinfeng was multitasking as he rapidly circulated the green heaven secret art that he had just comprehended. He mobilized his heavenly venerate bloodline and heavenly Tao energy to condense a rapidly revolving Tao diagram to block the Gufanqing art. Although the heavenly Tao diagram formed by the green heaven secret art was fundamentally different from a real Tao diagram, the green heaven secret art was still a low-grade saint art. Coupled with the heavenly Tao's amplification, Yi Qinfeng was still able to block the Gufanqing art for a short period of time. Gufanqing, myriad ice plate, ambush. The Gufanqing art was also blocked by Yi Qinfeng. Sha, Tinya, and Lianxing, who were continuously attacked by the annihilating heavenly punishment, used their Tao treasures to attack Yi Qinfeng with all their might. They were constantly drawing away Yi Qinfeng's energy, trying their best to kill him. Although Sha, Tinya, and Lianxing were outside of the Xingluo Heavenly City and could not borrow the power of the Xingluo Heavenly City, they were still level 6 combat beast emperors. They possessed many terrifying means and were extremely frightening. Under their all-out attacks, Yi Qinfeng was under great pressure. His injuries kept worsening. If it wasn't for the heavenly venerate bloodline supporting him, Yi Qinfeng wouldn't have been able to hold on for much longer. Crack! Just as Yi Qinfeng's pressure was increasing and he was in danger, a crisp, cracking sound rang out in his mind. Under the heavy pressure, the soul fragment formed by the God-Eater brain's 5th evolution shattered. A set of profound divine ability sword array appeared in Yi Qinfeng's soul sea. Cosmos sword array, sacred divine ability the God-Eater brain, quickly deduced the incantation for the sword array. Yi Qinfeng was immediately overjoyed. Although the Cosmos sword array was a sacred divine ability and wasn't hard to learn, it had a high requirement on the soul. The stronger the soul, the more powerful the Cosmos sword array would be. Yi Qinfeng's soul had been tempered countless times and was incomparably powerful. He could directly control the Cosmos sword array to attack. Sha, Tinya, Lianxing, looks like even the heavens aren't willing to help you. With the help of the God-Eater brain, Yi Qinfeng quickly grasped the method to condense the Cosmos sword array. He immediately summoned the 4 low-grade Tao swords, 3 pseudo-Tao swords, 6 supreme-grade celestial swords, and 5 high-grade celestial swords. He barely met the minimum requirement for the Cosmos sword array and condensed the Cosmos sword array. Kill! After the Cosmos sword array was condensed, Yi Qinfeng's mind moved. The Cosmos sword array started to revolve rapidly. 18 celestial swords shot out at the same time, shattering the Gufanqing beads that were attacking him. They then charged towards Sha Tinya and Lianxing, whose expressions changed greatly. Gufanqing art. Stars filling the sky. Sha Tinya didn't expect Yi Qinfeng to have such a technique. Without hesitation, he ignited his blood and qi energy and raised the power of the Gufanqing art to the limit. He rapidly condensed stars that were filled with ancient patterns to defend against the Cosmos sword array. Although Yi Qinfeng's foundation was limited and could only form the lowest level Cosmos sword array, the Cosmos sword array was still a saint-grade divine ability. Its power was extremely terrifying. Very soon, the Gufanqing art that Sha Tinya and Lianxing had deduced was broken by the Cosmos sword array. Cosmos sword array, annihilation. After breaking Sha Tinya and Lianxing's strongest attack, Yi Qinfeng multitasked. He immediately controlled the Cosmos sword array to kill them, forcing them to continuously dodge. In the end, under everyone's gazes, they miserably retreated. Sun extinguishing heavenly punishment, destroy. Controlling the Cosmos sword array to repel the enemy, Yi Qinfeng raised his Tao intent and soul to the limit. He controlled the Cosmos sword array to attack the cracked sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. Finally, the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment couldn't withstand the dual attacks of the Cosmos sword array and the sword Tao diagram and broke apart. Rank 4 combat, Beast Emperor, breakthrough. After breaking through the second round of the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment, Yi Qinfeng's body was like a black hole, absorbing the Tao intent that filled the air into his body. At this moment, his heavenly venerable blood also completely fused with Yi Qinfeng, reaching the 3rd grade. After accumulating enough foundation, Yi Qinfeng broke through the bottleneck in one go and broke through to the rank 4 combat beast emperor realm. Mobile reading website, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 950. Sha Tianya, didn't you want to kill me? I will give you the chance now. Yi Qinfeng had accumulated an unimaginable amount of energy when he broke through. Therefore, he didn't need to consolidate his cultivation to break through the weakened state. He raised the Emperor's Sky sword high up and pointed it at Sha Tianya, who had an ugly expression on his face. At this moment, his aura rose to the extreme. Large amounts of sword Tao patterns revolved around his body. He was like the reincarnation of the sword god. His terrifying aura was enough to make one's liver tremble. Sha Tianya was completely infuriated by Yi Qinfeng's challenge in front of everyone. However, Sha Tianya and Lianxing were both injured when they tried to stop Yi Qinfeng from transcending the tribulation under the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment. Furthermore, the scene of Yi Qinfeng transcending the tribulation was so shocking that it made Sha Tianya want to retreat. Why? You don't dare? Looking at Sha Tianya, who had an uncertain expression, Yi Qinfeng's lips curled upwards as he spoke in an unruly manner. Hey Yen, when I recover from my injuries, it will be the day of your death. Sha Tianya took a deep breath and suppressed the killing intent in his heart. He found a way out for himself and was about to return to Xingluo Heaven City. There is no need to wait so long. I think today is a good day. As he spoke, Yi Qinfeng executed his sword steps and turned into an extremely fast sword shadow. Along with the 18 Qian Kuan swords, he attacked Sha Tianya at an astonishing speed. 6 styles of wind and thunder Yi Qinfeng attacked with the Qian Kuan sword array. The infuriated Sha Tianya immediately deduced the wind and thunder Tao intent to the extreme. In an instant, he executed 6 consecutive moves. The surging wind and thunder Tao intent was like a huge wave that was bigger than the previous one. It surged through the void and blasted towards Yi Qinfeng. Qian Kuan sword array. Qian Kuan sword / Yi Qinfeng's mind exploded with his soul spirit. He controlled the 18 Qian Kuan swords to gather together. He stirred up the power of heaven and earth and slashed against the surging 6 styles of wind and thunder. Boom! 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 The Qian Kuan swords tore through the 6 styles of wind and thunder, bringing fatal pressure on Sha Tianya. The Tao insight of the stars transformed into stars. Seeing that the 6 styles of tempest had been broken, Sha Tianya rapidly deduced the Tao intent of the stars. It transformed into dazzling stars that descended from the sky and ferociously attacked the cosmos sword formation. 2 extremes of life and death, while Sha Tianya was relying on his absolute strength to resist the cosmos sword formation. 90 life and death Tao patterns shot out from Yi Qinfeng's body and transformed into a doomsday-like life and death Tao disc. It blasted into the intense counterattack, shattering Tao intent stars one after another as it continued to exert pressure on Sha Tianya. The force created by the collision between the 2 of them was too terrifying. It was like a gale that swept away the clouds, yet it was also like a great wave that washed away the sand, and it shook the entire space to the point of becoming blurry and warped. Boundless heavenly sword Yi Qinfeng and Sha Tianya had been fiercely attacking each other for more than 10 breaths of time. Yi Qinfeng was multitasking. He controlled the sword soul with his intent and slashed out with the boundless heavenly sword. It was like a rampaging dragon, tearing apart Sha Tianya's attack and directly attacking his body. Yi Qinfeng's forceful attack had caused Sha Tianya's expression to change slightly. He quickly clapped his palms and executed heavenly palms, continuously shaking the boundless heavenly sword that was unleashed by the sword soul. In the end, Sha Tianya relied on his powerful strength to resist Yi Qinfeng's killing move. However, his entire body was pushed back a few hundred meters by the boundless heavenly sword. Blood flowed out from his palms. Strong, too strong. In a direct confrontation, the Old City Lord was actually injured. After breaking through to the Grade 4 combat Beast Emperor realm, He Yan's strength had actually increased to such an extent. This time the Sha clan was in trouble. After offending He Yan, their foundation might be shaken. That's right. If He Yan was given a certain amount of time and space to grow, who would be his match? After witnessing Yi Qinfeng's direct confrontation with Sha Tianya and the scene of Sha Tianya being forced back, everyone present was shocked by Yi Qinfeng's strength. There were even some people who were completely convinced by his strength and started to worship him. Xingluo's doppelganger. A vicious glint flashed across Sha Bingyun's eyes as she summoned her Dao treasure, Xingluo's clone. With a powerful star Dao will, she attacked Yi Qinfeng. Xiao as Xingluo's doppelganger closed in on him. Yi Qinfeng's soul power erupted from his mind. The Qinkuan sword diagram unleashed boundless soul power as he controlled the Qinkuan sword to meet the doppelganger head-on. Wave after wave of Qinkuan swords produced ear-piercing sounds as they attacked Xingluo's doppelganger. The terrifying sword might continuously forced Xingluo's doppelganger back, damaging its incomparably tough body. After a round of fierce attacks, Xingluo's doppelganger was sent flying by Yi Qinfeng's Qinkuan sword diagram. Bingyun dodge. After controlling the Qinkuan sword diagram to send Xingluo's doppelganger flying, Yi Qinfeng immediately charged toward Sha Bingyun in an attempt to kill her. At this moment, Lian Xing appeared with a myriad ice plate beneath her feet. She blocked Sha Bingyun's path and launched a fierce attack at Yi Qinfeng. Qinkuan sword diagram danced in all directions. Like an ice dragon, thousands of icicles attacked. The Qinkuan sword diagram, hovering above Yi Qinfeng's head, immediately began to dance. It swept towards the thousands of icicles like a spinning top, frantically shattering them as it swept towards Lian Xing, Gu Fanqing seeing that Lian Xing was engulfed by the Qinkuan sword diagram. Sha Tianya controlled the dazzling Gu Fanqing to smash down. It smashed into the rapidly spinning Qinkuan sword diagram and blocked the fatal attack of the Qinkuan sword diagram. However, in the next moment, an afterimage appeared in front of Sha Tianya. Yi Qinfeng, with his cloud-stepping boots, appeared in front of him like a bolt of lightning. The terrifying soul energy turned into a dizzying force that smashed into Sha Tianya's soul like a heavy hammer, causing a trace of dizziness in his soul. Following which, Yi Qinfeng executed the twin extreme Dao of life and death. A terrifying life and death Dao plate appeared in his right hand and imprinted an astonishing attack on Sha Tianya's chest, sending him flying. A large amount of blood spurted out from Sha Tianya's mouth. After Sha Tianya was injured by the twin extreme Dao of life and death, Yi Qinfeng chased after him with his cloud-stepping boots. His sword soul fused into the Emperor's Sky sword and continuously attacked Sha Tianya, suppressing his attacks. He wanted to take this opportunity to kill Sha Tianya. He Yan, there will be a day where I will kill you. As his injuries worsened, Sha Tianya had the intention to retreat. He left behind a ruthless sentence and immediately retreated towards Xingluo Sky City. With Sha Tianya's retreat, Lian Xing, Sha Bingyun, and the others didn't dare to stay any longer. They quickly escaped back to Xingluo Sky City. As long as they returned to Xingluo Sky City, Yi Qinfeng wouldn't be able to do anything to them, no matter how powerful he was. Sha Tianya, I said that we don't have to wait so long. Let's fight to the death today. Yi Qinfeng burned his bloodline power and rapidly deduced his Dao intent. He raised his attack power to the limit and attacked Sha Tianya with all his strength, worsening Sha Tianya's injuries. As he attacked and retreated, Sha Tianya retreated to the edge of Xingluo Sky City. At this moment, the imposing Yi Qinfeng executed his true dragon transformation and transformed into a true dragon that bared its fangs and brandished its claws. He carried the power to destroy everything and launched a fatal attack towards Sha Tianya. Roar! An earth-shattering dragon roar resounded. Yi Qinfeng's true dragon shattered Sha Tianya's continuous attacks and bombarded his body, sending him flying. More than half of his body became a bloody mess, and large amounts of blood splattered in the air. Defeated, the old city lord was defeated by He Yan. The spectators who were hiding in the distance were all stunned when they saw Yi Qinfeng defeating Sha Tianya. Yi Qinfeng's invincible figure was deeply imprinted in their souls and couldn't be erased. Sha Tianya, I'll let you live for a few more days. The next time I come to Xingluo Sky City, I'll definitely take your dog head. Looking at Sha Tianya and his family fleeing back to Xingluo Sky City, Yi Qinfeng didn't pursue them. He domineeringly left behind a sentence and left under the respectful gazes of everyone. Mobile reading site. Book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 951. Early in the morning, the stars were still shining brightly. A faint blue light pierced through the boundless sea of clouds, illuminating the earth. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test under the first rays of the morning sun. Yi Qinfeng rode his Class 8 heavenly horse to the chaotic Clouds Peak. He waited there for Xia Wendi, Kong Sungqin, and the rest to open the Xingluo imperial tombs. As the chaotic Clouds Peak was located in a remote area, Xia Wendi, Kong Sungqin, and the rest would need some time to arrive. During this time, Yi Qinfeng comprehended a large number of Dao patterns in his yin-yang meridian and cultivated his heaven and earth Dao intent and illusion Dao intent to the 9th heavenly layer. As his Dao intent increased, Yi Qinfeng entered the universe realm and found Qingguqiu. He continued to fight with him, tempering himself through the intense battles. About 2 days later, a familiar aura appeared outside the chaotic Clouds Peak. Sensing this familiar aura, Yi Qinfeng, who had just fought with Qingguqiu and was recuperating, smiled faintly. With a thought, Yi Qinfeng left the universe realm and went outside. He saw Xia Wendi riding her divine black ant. She was wearing a fiery red dress, and her beautiful body was accentuated by the red dress. Her skin was crystal clear, and her hair was like a waterfall, shining brightly under the sunlight. She had a unique temperament, and her beauty was unparalleled. Xia Wendi, you came very quickly. Yi Qinfeng smiled faintly, looking at Xia Wendi's unbelievably beautiful face, and said softly, Yi Qinfeng, you broke through again. Sensing that Yi Qinfeng had broken through to a Class 4 combat beast emperor, Xia Wendi's watery eyes widened as she said in surprise, Yes, a few days ago, I just passed the sun extinguishing heavenly punishment and broke through to a Class 4 combat beast emperor. Not knowing why, in front of Xia Wendi, Yi Qinfeng felt inexplicably relaxed, and even his tone was relaxed. Really, you are so powerful, I admire you so much. Xia Wendi clasped her hands together, her beautiful eyes sparkling as she said with a look of worship, You believe in me so much? Seeing Xia Wendi's exaggerated expression, Yi Qinfeng was startled and asked in surprise, Since you have the nerve to lie, how can I have the nerve to not believe you? Xia Wendi curled her lips and said, Yi Qinfeng, let's go and open the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum. Seeing Yi Qinfeng deflated, Xia Wendi revealed a flower-like smile and softly urged, Now is not the time. There are still a few people who are not here yet. When they come, we will open the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum. Yi Chin-fong shook his head and said, "Xia," Wendy asked with a frown. "What?" Star King, Mad Devil, and Fairy Bai Hua said to Yi Chin-fong, "You know all three of them." Xia Wendy knew that Kong Sung-chin and the other two were among the oldest and strongest in the Xinluo continent. Yes, the three seniors have a good relationship with me. Moreover, to open the Imperial Mausoleum, I need the two keys in their hands. Yi Chin-fong nodded and said, "Then aren't you afraid that they will take away the opportunity that should belong to you?" Xia Wendy asked with a smile. "Of course not. I don't want to take all the opportunities in the Xinluo Imperial Mausoleum. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked you to come." Yi Chin-fong shook his head and said, "Well, let's wait patiently for a few days. I think the three seniors should be here soon. When they come, I will use the astrolabe to summon the 6 keys and open the Imperial Mausoleum." Yi Chin-fong said slowly, "Yes." Xia Wendy nodded and followed Yi Chin-fong to a lush ancient tree. In silence, they waited for Kong Sung-chin and the other two to arrive. "Xia Wendy, how many experts does your Xia family have?" Yi Chin-fong was very curious about the mysterious Xia family and asked softly. In the future, when he took control of the Xinluo Sky City, he wanted to get in touch with the most ancient family in the Xinluo continent. "Why are you asking about my Xia family?" Xia Wendy asked vigilantly. "Don't be nervous. I don't mean anything. I am just asking." Looking at Xia Wendy's sparkling eyes, Yi Chin-fong rubbed his nose and said with a wry smile, "You better not ask about my Xia family, and I won't tell you." Xia Wendy warned softly, "All right, then can you tell me why your breasts have gotten bigger after not seeing you for a long time? Is it because you feel inferior and secretly ate something?" Looking at Xia Wendy's proud breasts under her red dress, Yi Chin-fong said with an evil smile, "Go to hell. You are the one who feels inferior. You are the one who secretly ate something." Xia Wendy was so angry that her face turned red, and she said furiously, "Xia Wendy, do you know what is the most obvious sign of a woman lying?" Looking at the flustered and exasperated Xia Wendy, Yi Chin-fong said with a smile, "That is, your breasts will become bigger, and your face will turn red." "Yi Chin-fong, you stinking, shameless bastard. You dare to make fun of me? I will teach you a lesson." Xia Wendy's breathing became hurried, her breasts rising and falling. Like an enraged leopard, she suddenly attacked Yi Chin-fong. "Look, where did I say something wrong? That was not effective." Yi Chin-fong dodged Xia Wendy's attack while laughing. "Damn scoundrel, I'm definitely going to skin you alive today." Xia Wendy, whose face was completely red, roared. A 3-legged golden crow appeared around her body, and with a terrifying amount of soul power, it continuously attacked Yi Chin-fong. Yi Chin-fong wanted to compete with Xia Wendy, so he didn't dodge. Instead, he summoned the Blood Dragon Emperor and used all his strength to meet Xia Wendy's attack. After overcoming the double sun, extinguishing heavenly punishment, and breaking through to become a level 4 Beast Emperor, Yi Chin-fong's strength had increased tremendously. However, when he fought against Xia Wendy, he discovered that Xia Wendy's strength had increased even faster. After fighting for an incense stick's worth of time, not only did he not gain the upper hand, he was suppressed by her. "Little mosquito, be careful. I am going to use a top-grade Dao skill." Yi Chin-fong reminded her and deduced the life and death Dao intent to the limit. His right hand fiercely slapped out, and 90 life and death Dao patterns turned into a life and death Dao disc that tore through space and bombarded Xia Wendy. Star Dao diagram her gaze locked onto Yi Chin-fong's life and death Dao disc. Not only did Xia Wendy not dodge, she met it with all her strength. A Dao diagram that seemed to contain countless stars appeared in her hand and ruthlessly smashed towards the life and death Dao disc. Kathy, 2 terrifying Dao intents collided and immediately released boundless energy, causing the void to be filled with cracks. Boundless hurricanes shattered all the vegetation in a 1-mile radius. "Little Yi, use whatever other moves you have. If you are late, I will beat you until you are looking for your teeth on the ground. After forming the star Dao diagram to break Yi Qinfeng's top-grade Dao skill, Xia Wendy followed up with another attack. She continued to unleash a barrage of attacks. She wanted to defeat Yi Qinfeng in one go and teach him a lesson. Universe Sword Array. Xia Wendy's attacks became fiercer and fiercer. Yi Qinfeng had no choice but to summon his 18 ancient swords and form the Universe Sword Array. He wanted to use the Universe Sword Array to restrain Xia Wendy. And what kind of strange sword array was this? Under the attacks of the Universe Sword Array, Xia Wendy's Dao and 10 attacks were constantly broken by Yi Qinfeng. Her attacks were also gradually suppressed. Death Dao Diagram. Star Dao Diagram. Her attacks were continuously broken, and Xia Wendy had no choice but to form 2 Dao diagrams to counterattack. However, the Universe Sword Array was extremely powerful, and the 2 Dao diagrams were unable to break it. The two of them fought with all their strength and fiercely. They fought for more than 10 hours, and neither of them could do anything to the other. In the end, Xia Wendy, who had expended a lot of energy, had no choice but to stop and end this intense battle. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Collect button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 952. Early morning. Thin mist. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 ear-piercing sounds broke the silence of the forest. Yi Qinfeng opened his eyes as he looked at the 3 blurry figures flying towards him at high speed. Kong Sungqin and the other 2 had finally arrived. Level 6 Combat Beast Emperor. Congratulations to the 3 seniors for breaking through the bottleneck. Feeling the strength of Kong Sungqin and the other 2, Yi Qinfeng revealed a smile. The stronger they were, the more help they would be to him. Qingfeng, this is all thanks to you. If it weren't for your extreme Emperor Dao pills, the 3 of us wouldn't have been able to break through to level 6 Combat Beast Emperor so quickly. Kong Sungqin, whose hair and beard were as white as snow and whose face was glowing, was in an extremely good mood, laughed and said, "But compared to your cultivation speed, we still can't catch up. Yeah, before we came, we heard that you passed the double sun extinguishing heavenly punishment outside Xingluo Sky City and defeated Sha Tinya, Lianxing, and the others. Compared to you, the 3 of us are really old." Bai Feng said with a smile, "Little Yi, you really passed the double sun extinguishing heavenly punishment." Xia Wendy opened her eyes wide and asked with a shocked expression, "What do you think?" Yi Qinfeng looked at Xia Wendy's unyielding expression and replied with a smile, "Humph, don't act like a big shot in front of me. Be careful not to make this great aunt unhappy. I'll spread the scene of you passing the heavenly punishment naked. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant then." Xia Wendy pouted her white little nose and warned while grinding her teeth. "Yi Qinfeng, Qingfeng, are they your friends?" Tsang Biyue asked softly as she looked at the young Xia Wantai beside Yi Qinfeng. Xia Wantai, who did not wear any makeup but had a stunning appearance and an excellent figure, and the black divine aunt who had a tall and sturdy figure and exuded a dangerous aura. "She is my friend Xia Wendy, and this is the black god aunt, her contracted beast." Yi Qinfeng looked at Xia Wendy, who was smiling sweetly, and introduced them. "Xia Wendy, Xia." Kong Sungqin and the other 2 looked at each other and asked in surprise, "You are a descendant of Imperial Star?" Wendai greets the 3 seniors. The old ancestor often mentions the 3 seniors at home. If there is time, the 3 seniors can come to the Xia family as guests. I think the old ancestor will be very happy. Xia Wendy seemed to have become a completely different person. She quickly stepped forward and spoke in an extremely obedient manner. "Good, good, good. Your Xia clan is finally going to be born. This Xingluo continent is going to change." After confirming Xia Wendy's identity, Kong Sungqin and the other two were even happier. Even though the three great families were one of the most powerful forces in the Xingluo continent, they were still far behind the Xiao family. If the Xiao family had not kept themselves hidden from the world, then the power they controlled would not be any weaker than the Xingluo Sky City. Seniors, there is no time to lose. Let us enter the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum. After saying that, Yi Qinfeng led Kong Sungqin, Xia Wendi, and the other two into the depths of the chaotic Cloud Peak. Because of the Xingluo Sky City hidden within the chaotic Cloud Peak, the true Demon Clan spies had all been killed by Yi Qinfeng's 3 level 8 heavenly beasts. As such, when Yi Qinfeng and the rest arrived at the entrance of the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum, they did not alert the 2 superpowers. This was the ancestral mausoleum. Looking at the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum hidden within the mountains, the smile on Xia Wendi's face disappeared, and her heart was filled with sadness and sadness. Seniors, can you please give me the keys in your hands? Yi Qinfeng looked at Xia Wendi, who was staring at the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum in silence for a long time. From Kong Sungqin and Bai Feng, Yi Qinfeng asked for 2 Imperial Mausoleum keys made of special materials, engraved with numerous star runes, and inserted them into the grooves of the astrolabe. Next, Yi Qinfeng infused his soul power into the center of the astrolabe, which seemed to contain a starry sky, and controlled the astrolabe to summon the other 6 Imperial Mausoleum keys. The astrolabe was the last flag left behind by the Star Emperor, and it contained a mysterious power. Being summoned by the astrolabe, the Imperial Mausoleum keys that Sha Tianya and the true Demon Clan's Demon King had obtained immediately sensed it. Following that, the true Demon Clan's Demon King and Xingluo Sky City's Old City Lord, Sha Tianya, had an inconceivable scene. The Imperial Mausoleum keys seemed to have a life of their own, and they suddenly broke free from their control, flying to the horizon and disappearing mysteriously. About a day later, the 4 Imperial Mausoleum keys flew over and automatically inserted themselves into the astrolabe. After obtaining all the Imperial Mausoleum keys, Yi Qinfeng did not hesitate. He went to the thick entrance of the Imperial Mausoleum, inserted the 6 keys into the grooves, and opened the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum that had been sealed for hundreds of thousands of years. Rumble. The ground trembled as the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum opened. An extremely cold and gloomy aura was released from the dark and gloomy Imperial Mausoleum. If a normal cultivator was hit by this gloomy aura, the gloomy aura would instantly invade their body. In the best-case scenario, they would be poisoned and their meridians would be damaged. In the worst-case scenario, they would die instantly. However, Yi Qinfeng and the other 4 had abundant yang energy in their bodies. The gloomy aura that had been condensed in the Imperial Mausoleum for hundreds of thousands of years was no threat to them. Before the gloomy aura could even touch their bodies, it was dispersed by their powerful blood qi. Let's go. Let's enter the Imperial Mausoleum. The Imperial Mausoleum keys that they had painstakingly obtained had disappeared. Whether it was the true demon tribe's Demon King or Sha Tianya, they would all know the reason. Thus, Yi Qinfeng did not waste any time. He summoned the 150,000 Jin Fangtian halberd and held it in his hand. He was the first to enter the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum. Black God Ant, the task of guarding the Imperial Mausoleum's entrance will be handed over to you. Kill anyone who tries to enter the Imperial Mausoleum. When they entered the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum, Xia Wendi had given the Black God Ant a death order. Yes, Master. The Black God Ant was a saint beast, which was equivalent to a 1-star Dao Saint in the Heaven Domain. In the Xingluo continent, unless it encountered an expert from Nirvana, normal experts would not be its match. Light screen. After passing through the restrictions of the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum, Yi Qinfeng realized that the scene in front of him had changed. The gloomy mausoleum had disappeared. In front of him was a light screen that seemed to contain everything in the world, blocking their path. Xingluo's all creation. Looking at the constantly changing scene and the strange light screen, Xia Wendi, who was very skilled in array formations, raised her eyebrows and said in surprise, "It seems that the imperial mausoleum was built by the ancestor long ago. Otherwise, the ancestor would not have set up such an illusion when he was dying." Xingluo's all-creation was one of the Star Emperor's supernatural powers. It could create a chaotic space and make people lose themselves. Kong Sungqin and the other two had read about Xingluo's all-creation in ancient books, so they knew how terrifying this supernatural power was. It was said that when the Star Emperor used this supernatural power, he even confused a powerful person from the heaven domain and killed him with the power of illusion, which shocked the entire Xingluo continent. The Star Emperor's ancestor set up Xingluo's all-creation in the Imperial Mausoleum to test the people who entered the Imperial Mausoleum and prevent his inheritance from being obtained by the alien race. Xia Wendy said, "When we enter this Xingluo's all-creation, we will probably receive different kinds of tests. Only by passing the tests can we enter the Imperial Mausoleum and inherit the ancestor's inheritance." Well, the tests in the Xingluo's Imperial Mausoleum should not be difficult, but it is reasonable. Even we, on our deathbed, want to find a genius to inherit our inheritance, so we will naturally try to increase the difficulty of the tests. Kong Sungqin said, "Let's go. We will enter this Xingluo's all-creation." Yi Qinfeng was not afraid of the tests in the Xingluo's Imperial Mausoleum. He disappeared with Xia Wendy and the others into the ever-changing Xingluo's all-creation. Mobile reading site. Book address. To make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 953. What a terrifying illusory power. If this illusory power directly targeted the soul, it would probably cause people to lose themselves instantly and fall into an illusory realm. Looking at the endless starry sky and the falling meteors in the distance, Yi Qinfeng couldn't help but sigh at the terror of the Star Emperor. Watermark advertisement. Test watermark advertisement test. Although Yi Qinfeng had experienced a lot, the Star Emperor's strength and methods were the best he had ever seen. He really wanted to know, in this Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum, other than the Star Emperor's inheritance, the Nirvana Heart, and the map of the Central Continent's outer sky, what other heaven-defying items were there? Yi Qinfeng and the other four cautiously flew through the strange starry sky. As they flew, they discovered that a starry vortex had appeared in this strange starry sky. When the meteors that streaked across the sky passed by this vortex, they were immediately swallowed up by the vortex and instantly crushed into pieces. What a terrifying starry whirlpool! It could even crush meteors. If a person was swallowed by this whirlpool, there wouldn't even be a corpse left. Looking at the scene of the starry whirlpool crushing meteors, Zhang Biyue, who was wearing a phoenix-patterned robe, sucked in a breath of cold air. She was shocked by the starry whirlpool. "I think this starry whirlpool might be the exit of this starry sky." Yi Qinfeng stared at the starry whirlpool for a while. After 5 transformations, the God-Eater brain that had become even more heaven-defying detected the abnormality. He suddenly spoke. "Are you sure?" Xia Wendy turned to look at him and asked faintly, 90% sure." Yi Qinfeng nodded and said, "You guys wait for me here. I'll go closer to the starry whirlpool, and I'll be completely sure. Chengfeng, be careful. If there's danger, come back immediately." Kong Sungqin valued Yi Qinfeng very much. He was afraid of accidents, so he warned seriously, "Senior Star King, don't worry about him." Xia Wendy knew Yi Qinfeng's methods. She revealed 2 cute dimples and said, "As the saying goes, good people don't live long, but bad people live for 1,000 years. He'll be fine." Yi Qinfeng, what a terrifying tearing power! As he approached the vortex of stars, even with Yi Qinfeng's powerful physical body, he felt a trace of pressure. He felt that the space he was in was extremely fragile due to the vortex of stars, as if it could collapse at any moment. However, There wasn't the slightest trace of worry on Yi Qinfeng's face. That was because he believed in his own strength. Even if space collapsed, it wouldn't threaten his life. 1. The power of the God-Eater brain radiated out completely, projecting into the vortex of stars to sense its actual situation. Sure enough, this was all an illusion. This vortex of stars was a passage to the next illusory space, and what it tested was one's courage, and insight. The God-Eater brain easily sensed the vortex of stars. Yi Qinfeng informed Xia Wendy and the others via voice transmission. With a flash, he was the first one to enter the vortex of stars and disappear. Come on, let's follow them. Xia Wendy and the others didn't hesitate. They endured the terrifying, tearing power of space and followed behind Yi Qinfeng. They entered the vortex of stars, forcibly passing through the twisting space passage. After about half an incense stick of time, Yi Qinfeng's group of 5 passed through the twisting space passage and entered another part of the starry sky. And in this part of the starry sky, there were 3 space passages shining with a red light. Above each passage were written the words easy, hard, and nightmare. Seeing these 3 illusory words, Yi Qinfeng's group of 5 knew that these words represented the difficulty of each passage. And if they wanted to obtain the most precious inheritance of Xingluo's imperial tomb, they had to pass through the nightmare difficulty passage. Qingfeng, us 3 old fellows aren't too interested in the Star Sovereign's inheritance. Even if we pass through the hard difficulty passage, we'll pass through it. Kong Sungchin's group of 3 didn't compete with Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendy for the most precious inheritance of the imperial tomb. They all chose the hard difficulty passage and entered. Let's go and see just how difficult this nightmare difficulty trial is. Yi Qinfeng glanced at the beautiful Xia Wendy beside him. Her clothes fluttered in the wind. Then the 2 of them slowly flew towards the nightmare difficulty passage that emitted a blood-red light and a chilling aura. When the 2 of them broke through the restrictions at the entrance, they discovered that the other party had disappeared. They had appeared in a blood-red space. In this space, the sun in the sky was red, the earth was red, the mountains were red, the rocks were red, and even the slowly flowing river was red. It could be said that besides Yi Qinfeng, everything here was red. This blood-red color made one feel stifled and indescribably uncomfortable. However, Yi Qinfeng's heart of martial arts was strong. He dispelled the outside world's influence and slowly flew towards this blood-red space. Roar! Suddenly, a deafening roar of a beast rang out. A blood-red dragon that was over 1,000 meters long flew out from the Blood Mountain in the distance. It had a bloody mouth that was tens of meters long, and it let out a roar that pierced through clouds and cracked rocks at Yi Qinfeng. The roar was so loud that it hurt his eardrums, and the blood and qi in his body started to boil. Dragon, a blood dragon formed from an illusion. Looking at the lifelike blood dragon soaring through the clouds, the God-Eater brain immediately deduced that this blood dragon was not real, but formed from a restriction. Blood Dragon Emperor, go! With a thought, Yi Qinfeng's soul transformed into the Blood Dragon Emperor. It carried an imposing aura like a monarch descending from the heavens and met the restriction blood dragon head-on. The 2 of them fought in midair. After consecutively crossing heavenly punishment and breaking through to the 4th grade, Yi Qinfeng's soul beast, the Blood Dragon Emperor, had been greatly tempered and became extremely terrifying. Coupled with the innate Dragon Emperor Qi, not only did it not fall into a disadvantage in the battle against the Restriction Blood Dragon, but it also restrained its attacks. While the Blood Dragon Emperor and the Restriction Blood Dragon were fighting, Yi Qinfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce at high speed, sensing this blood-red world and looking for a breakthrough. Array! This blood-red world is formed by an array. Under the God-Eater brain's deduction, Yi Qinfeng understood the reality of this blood-red world. It was actually a large array laid down by the Star Emperor. If he wanted to leave, he had to find the array core and break the entire array. Roar! While Yi Chen-feng was deducing the truth and falsehood of the bloody world, the Blood Dragon Emperor, who had unleashed his might, bit down on the restriction blood dragon's neck. He exerted his strength and bit off the ferocious meteor-like dragon head, destroying it. Go! Yi Chen-feng's body flashed and appeared on the Blood Dragon Emperor. Stepping on the huge dragon's head, he flew towards the blood-red mountains in the distance, looking for the location of the array core. Yi Chen-feng had just flown into the blood-red mountains with the Blood Dragon Emperor when the blood-red ancient trees shook. Large patches of blood-red leaves fell off from the lush treetops, attacking Yi Chen-feng and the Blood Dragon Emperor like overwhelming sharp swords. Blood Dragon Emperor, fuse! Feeling that every blood-red leaf was as sharp as a top-grade celestial artifact, Yi Chen-feng decisively fused with the Blood Dragon Emperor, using his body, which was comparable to a mid-grade celestial artifact, to resist the attack. When the dense blood-red leaves attacked Yi Chen-feng's body, they constantly penetrated his soul power defense, but when they stabbed Yi Chen-feng's body, they could not hurt his body. Cloud stepping boots, amplify. With a thought, Yi Chen-feng summoned the cloud stepping boots, which constantly amplified his speed. He penetrated the dense blood-red leaves like a meteor, sliding down in the void. When Yi Chen-feng flew into the depths of the blood-red mountains, blood-red ancient trees more than 10 meters tall suddenly rose from the ground and slammed towards Yi Chen-feng with tens of millions of kilograms of force. Sword step break. Yi Chen-feng stepped out, and a sword diagram appeared under his feet. Dense sword Dao patterns flew out like this, crushing the blood-red ancient trees from all directions. He continued to solve the tests. Ordinary emperors would not be as relaxed as Yi Chen-feng when facing the tests in the blood-red space. Just the attacks that were comparable to a top-grade celestial artifact were enough to make them helpless. Array core. The God-Eater brain had found the array core. When Yi Chen-feng solved the tests like a hot knife through butter, he came to the depths of the blood-red mountains. He locked onto the location of the array core and quickly flew over. He came to a corpse mound full of bones, exuding a gloomy aura and a strange coffin. This corpse mound was the array core of the blood-red space. If he could break it, the blood array would be broken. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 954. Formation within a formation standing in midair. Yi Chen-feng controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly deduce the formation. He discovered that the corpse mound under his feet was a formation within a formation. It was also the most terrifying part of the blood formation. It would not be easy to break it. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test however. Yi Chen-feng was not afraid at all. His body flashed and entered the formation within the formation. In the next moment, the formation within the formation started operating rapidly. A large amount of yin qi appeared in the corpse mound and quickly poured into the only coffin in the corpse mound. Boom! After absorbing enough yin qi, the coffin suddenly exploded. A middle-aged man wearing blood-red battle armor and holding a 3-meter-long spear with a ghost head appeared in front of Yi Chen-feng. His eyes were hollow, and his body emitted the power of the heavens. Level 6 combat beast emperor looking at the man in blood-red armor in front of him. Yi Chen-feng could not help but reveal a grave expression. Moreover, he felt that the man in blood-red armor in front of him was not an ordinary level 6 combat beast emperor. He should be a puppet refined from the corpses of the heaven race experts that the Star Emperor had killed. Challenging someone 2 levels above him, the difficulty of the nightmare stage was indeed not small. Yi Chen-feng finally understood the true difficulty of the nightmare stage trial. In the combat beast emperor realm, The difference in strength between each level was very large. Especially towards the end, the difference in strength would be even more obvious. Without a shocking foundation and strength, it was almost impossible for a combat beast emperor to challenge someone 2 levels above him. He wondered how strong Xia Wendy's opponent was. Looking at his opponent, Yi Qinfeng could not help but think of Xia Wendy's opponent. Could it be an expert from Nirvana? However, after thinking about it, Yi Qinfeng felt that Nirvana's puppet should not appear so early. Xia Wendy's trial should be slightly easier than his. You still have time to retreat now. Once you accept the challenge, you will either live or die. The man in blood-red armor suddenly spoke in human language, without a trace of emotion. Since I am here, I will naturally not retreat. Although the man in blood-red armor in front of him was terrifying, there was still a gap between him and Xia, Tianya, and Lianxing. With Yi Qinfeng's strength and foundation, he still had a chance to kill him. Wush, hearing Yi Qinfeng's choice, the crimson-armored man immediately attacked. He held a 3-meter-long spear and thrust it at Yi Qinfeng like a dragon emerging from the sea. The fierce attack made Yi Qinfeng feel suffocated. The man in the crimson armor pierced through the air. Yi Qinfeng activated the power of his 5 acupoints. Holding the 300,000-pound sky piercer halberd in his hand, he faced the attack head-on. Like a huge meteorite, he smashed onto the incomparably sharp, ghost-head-long spear. Qi Wen, the 2 divine weapons collided. A blinding light burst forth. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped. The 2 divine weapons collided and neither of them moved. However, upon closer inspection, the muscles on Yi Qinfeng's arms were wriggling rapidly. Obviously, Yi Qinfeng was under a lot of pressure from the spear attack of the crimson-armored man. He had just broken through to become a level 4 beast emperor, and his strength had just increased to 50 million jin, so he was barely able to withstand the terrifying power of the spear attack. After more than 10 breaths, the crimson-armored man quickly whipped out his terrifyingly powerful ghost-head spear and thrusted it out for the 2nd time. The spear fiercely pierced the sky piercer halberd, continuously shattering the sky piercer halberd's 50 million jin of force. The shockwave caused Yi Qinfeng's arm to become slightly numb, and his entire body continuously retreated. As expected of a level 6 beast emperor, his attack power was indeed shocking. Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath and suppressed the surging qi in his body. Without hesitation, he ignited his divine demon bloodline and transformed into his crimson, divine demon body. His physical strength kept on increasing, and his whole body kept on growing. His body also became as tough as steel, extremely powerful. When Yi Qinfeng transformed into his divine demon body, the crimson-armored man followed up with another attack. He quickly waved the spear in his hand, creating streaks of spear qi that looked like sun-piercing rainbows. Countless blood-red qi waves rolled up and swept towards Yi Qinfeng. Breaking the spear qi waves with brute force, the muscles on Yi Qinfeng's arms quickly swelled, and he exploded out with 150 million jin of force. He brandished his halberd, carrying the might of the mountains and rivers. He chopped down ferociously, continuously breaking the blood-colored spear light that the blood-armored man sent out. Boom! 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 The halberd and spear qi waves continued to collide with each other, bursting out countless rays of light. For a moment, the 2 of them were engulfed by the exploding energy waves, enduring the destructive attacks. After transforming into his divine demon body, Yi Qinfeng's body was almost at the level of a high-grade Dao artifact, while the crimson-armored man's armor was also quite strong. It completely blocked the shock waves of energy waves. The 2 of them fought with speed, and neither of them could do anything to the other. Holy thunder of purple beginnings break. The 2 of them fought fiercely for the time it took for an incense stick to burn. Yi Qinfeng decisively changed his attack. The terrifying holy thunder of purple beginnings shot out of his mouth like a long snake tearing through the air and bombarding the crimson-armored man's body. The terrifying attack power split open the crimson-armored man's armor and sent him flying. Heavenly demon dance in all directions as the crimson-armored man retreated. Yi Qinfeng followed up with another attack. He slashed out with his halberd, which transformed into 8 halberd shadows. They were like layers upon layers of massive waves, and they viciously bombarded the crimson-armored man's head. Once his head was struck by the heavenly halberd, there was no doubt that it would be shattered. At this critical moment, a crimson-colored formation diagram appeared beneath the crimson-armored man's feet. Borrowing the power of the formation within the formation, his strength instantly skyrocketed. He stabbed the spear chi wave after wave at an unbelievable angle, forcibly breaking through Yi Qinfeng's ultimate attack. Let's see how many times you can borrow the power of the formation within the formation. Yi Qinfeng had already anticipated that the crimson-armored man would be able to borrow the power of the formation within the formation to continue attacking with his heavenly halberd. He wanted to rely on absolute strength to kill him. Evil ghost Chaos the crimson-armored man let out an earth-shattering roar, and a large number of evil ghosts crawled out of the corpse mound as if they had crawled out from hell. They let out chilling cries of ghosts, and they bit toward Yi Qinfeng to disrupt his attack. Life and death Tao intent, the emotionless Tao of life and death. Thousands of evil ghosts attacked from all directions. Yi Qinfeng immediately deduced the life and death Tao intent to the extreme, and borrowed the power of life and death to kill the evil ghosts. Just as Yi Qinfeng was deducing the life and death Tao intent to restrain the evil ghosts, the crimson-armored man attacked again. The spear in his hand transformed into a ferocious ghost dragon. It pierced through space with boundless killing intent, and it wanted to pierce through Yi Qinfeng's chest. Heaven and earth Tao intent. Fusion Yi Qinfeng decisively fused 90 heaven and earth Tao patterns into his heavenly halberd, amplifying its attack power. He met the crimson-armored man head-on with an unstoppable force. The 2 divine weapons clashed once again, and the space around them trembled. A powerful shockwave surged out in all directions like a tidal wave. Purple beginnings, holy thunder, break. While facing the crimson-armored man's fatal attack, Yi Qinfeng released the purple beginnings, holy thunder, to attack the crimson-armored man's body, damaging his crimson-armored body. A ray diagram appear. While the crimson-armored man was being restrained by the purple beginnings, holy thunder, a strange crimson-colored array diagram appeared beneath his feet. It repaired his body and attacked Yi Qinfeng with all his might. Under the enhancement of the crimson-colored array diagram, the crimson-armored man's attacks became more and more ferocious. He gradually suppressed Yi Qinfeng's explosive 150 million kilograms of force and tore apart the life and death Tao patterns that surrounded his body. The crimson-armored man's attacks became more and more powerful. When he borrowed the power of the array diagram and tore apart the life and death Tao patterns around Yi Qinfeng's body, wailing evil ghosts crazily rushed towards Yi Qinfeng, wanting to devour his flesh and blood. Whoosh! A black flame spewed out of Yi Qinfeng's body. At the crucial moment, Yi Qinfeng summoned the death blaze, heavenly fire, which instantly melted the evil ghosts that came close to him. In the next moment, the heavenly halberd disappeared from Yi Qinfeng's hand and was replaced by the high-grade Emperor Heaven Sword. Yi Qinfeng, who had lost his patience, started his ultimate counterattack. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blogs, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 955. Sword Tao Diagram. When Yi Qinfeng held the Emperor's Sky sword to counterattack, the sword soul appeared behind him and turned into a terrifying sword Tao diagram. It released endless sword Tao patterns and amplified the power of his sword. TSK. As the sword slashed across, a large number of evil spirits were turned into ashes. The terrifying sword radiance made the blood-armored man feel a strong sense of danger. He stepped on the array diagram and waved his spear to counter the attack. Buzz! As the two powerful attacks clashed, the blood-armored man's spear radiance was broken. Yi Qinfeng's sword, which had fused with the sword Dao diagram, directly pressed the blood-armored man's spear into the shape of a crescent moon. A strong, rebounding force was generated from the ghost-headed spear. The powerful force caused the blood-armored man's arm to go numb. He could barely hold the spear in his hand. Power of heaven as his arm was injured. The array diagram under the blood-armored man's feet became brighter. He used the power of heaven that he had hidden in his body to amplify his attack and counter Yi Qinfeng's peerless sword. Dao of two extremes of life and death as Yi Qinfeng and the blood-armor man were fighting intensely. Yi Qinfeng quickly struck out with his palm. The Dao diagram, which was filled with 90 life and death Dao patterns, was imprinted on the blood-armored man's chest. It shattered his defense and forced him to retreat. Boundless Heaven's sword Yi Qinfeng struck out with his sword again. The sword radiance, which was filled with the power of heaven, was like the boundless Dao. It slashed the blood-armored man's body and split his blood-armored body, sending him flying. Power of heaven burn. As his body was injured, the blood-armored man started to burn the power of heaven in his body to stabilize his injuries. He used the power of the array within the array to counterattack Yi Qinfeng with all his might. The spear aura was so ferocious that it shook heaven and earth. Every spear thrust was like a rolling wave. The waves were turbulent and endless. It was as if they wanted to annihilate Yi Qinfeng. Qian Kuin's sword formation facing the blood-armored man's frenzied attacks. Yi Qinfeng used his mind, and 18 divine weapons flew out of the Qian Kuin realm. Under his soul spirit control, they turned into a Qian Kuin array diagram and instantly tore apart the blood-armored man's attacks. Under Yi Qinfeng's control of the cosmos sword formation, the attacks of the 18 divine weapons became more and more ferocious. They kept tearing apart the crimson-armored man's attacks and severely injuring his body. In just 10 breaths of time, the blood-red armor worn by the man was torn apart by the cosmos sword formation. His strong body was riddled with holes and shattered into pieces. It's over. A sword light flashed by at an astonishing speed. Under the blood-armored man's empty gaze, Yi Qinfeng cut off his head. In the next moment, the headless, blood-armored man shattered. Yi Qinfeng had used the cosmos sword array to kill the blood-armored man and pass the test. As for the low-grade Dao artifact in his hand, the ghost-headed spear became Yi Qinfeng's spoils of war. Ka-ka-ka, a series of cracking sounds could be heard. The moment the crimson-armored man shattered, the heart of the formation also shattered. The blood-red world in front of Yi Qinfeng collapsed, and a black hole appeared. His body flashed slightly, and he passed through the black hole. He arrived in a picturesque place with ancient vines entwined around it. There was no trace of Yin energy, and it was like a paradise. In this space, Yi Qinfeng couldn't sense any danger. However, he didn't let his guard down. He controlled the God-Eater brain to scan this space. Yes, there's really no danger. Yi Qinfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to scan for danger, but he still couldn't sense any danger. This surprised him a little. He flew carefully and looked for an exit. Yes, there's something in the pool ahead. As he flew, the soul power Yi Qinfeng released detected a weak fluctuation of spiritual energy in an extremely pure and clear pool of water. He raised his eyebrows slightly and flew to the top of the pool. Is there a treasure in here? The power of the God-Eater brain seeped into the pool and sensed layers of hidden restrictions. Yi Qinfeng broke into the pool without hesitation. He passed through the restrictions and quickly swam to the bottom of the pool. There are so many hidden restrictions in this pool. If I didn't have the God-Eater brain, I wouldn't have been able to sense the restrictions at the bottom of the pool. After swimming to the bottom of the pool, Yi Chunfeng locked onto the restrictions at the bottom of the pool. With a thought, his soul power erupted and seeped into the restrictions at the bottom of the pool to forcefully break them. Crack! The God-Eater brain had evolved, and its cracking ability had greatly increased. In less than 10 breaths, the restrictions at the bottom of the pool were broken. A large amount of milky white spirit liquid seeped out from the cracks and fused into the pool, filling it with spirituality. Pills. There are 5 pills sealed at the bottom of the pool. After passing through the cracks in the restriction at the bottom of the pool, Yi Chunfeng discovered that there were 5 medicinal pills in the milky white liquid. Judging from the ancient pill markings on the surface of these 5 medicinal pills, the spirituality they contained, and the time they had been nurtured, these 5 medicinal pills should all be ancient Tao pills, which were extremely precious. Break the seal. The soul power in Yi Chunfeng's body erupted and condensed into a giant hand. It grabbed at the 5 pills and forcefully broke the seals, wanting to collect them into the universe mirror. However, these 5 ancient Tao pills seemed to have a life of their own. When they were grabbed by the soul power hand, they immediately became restless and produced a powerful force. They slowly broke apart the soul power hand that Yi Chunfeng had condensed and broke free. Interesting, I didn't expect these 5 ancient Tao pills to be so powerful. Yi Chunfeng's lips curled up slightly. The power of his Tao intent erupted, forming a powerful pressure that suppressed the 5 ancient Tao pills and forcefully subdued them. At the same time, the extremely injured Xiao Wendy, whose face was pale and whose clothes were dyed red with blood, appeared in this picturesque space. From the looks of her injuries, she had encountered a terrifying challenge in the nightmarish trial. Spirit Pool Xiao Wendy loved cleanliness. When she discovered the pool that had fused with a massive amount of spirit liquid and was emitting spiritual energy, her beautiful eyes shined with pleasant surprise. She impatiently washed away the bloodstains on her body. Standing at the edge of the pool, Xiao Wendy released her powerful soul force to cover the surroundings. When she didn't discover anything strange, she immediately jumped into the pool, filled with spirituality. The cool and refreshing feeling caused her mind to shake, and she almost shouted out loud. Bathing in the pool, the cautious Xiao Wendy sensed the pool. Besides the faintly discernible wrinkles, she didn't discover Yi Chunfeng hiding at the bottom of the pool. He was doing his best to subdue the 5 ancient Tao pills. Xiao Wendy didn't notice anything strange in the pool. She revealed a smile as beautiful as a flower. She quickly took off the bloody clothes on her body and threw them to the side of the pool, revealing her milky smooth and delicate skin. She didn't have a trace of fat on her lower abdomen, her slender waist, her straight and slender legs, and her well-developed breasts. I wonder if that pervert will be able to pass the nightmarish trial. If he fails, how should I ridicule him? As Xiao Wendy comfortably washed away the filth on her body, Yi Chunfeng's figure involuntarily appeared in her mind. She revealed an enchanting smirk and silently muttered in her heart. But what she didn't know was that Yi Chunfeng had borrowed the might of the universe sword array to pass the nightmarish trial faster than her. Moreover, Yi Chunfeng was currently hiding in the restriction at the bottom of the pool, controlling his Tao intent to subdue the 5 precious ancient Tao pills. As long as Yi Chunfeng drilled out of the restriction, something big would happen. Mobile reading site. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Collect button below to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will be able to see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 956. Ancient Tao Pills Put Away. Under the suppression of the Tao insight, the 5 ancient Tao pills finally stopped moving restlessly and calmed down. With a command in his heart, Yi Chunfeng put away the 5 ancient Tao pills into the universe mirror. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, testin'. The next moment, Yi Qinfeng tore apart the restrictions that had just healed and appeared within the pool that was filled with intelligence. When he passed through the layers of restrictions and swiftly swam towards the top of the pool, his mind seemed as if it was struck by a bolt from the blue, and it stopped moving. His eyes opened wider and wider as he disregarded the pouring of the icy cold pool water and opened his mouth wide. No matter how he racked his brains, he was unable to figure out why there would be so many coincidences in the world. Xia Wenyi was actually bathing in this pool, and she was even bathing so happily. Under the jade waves, Xia Wenyi's delicate skin, straight and fair beautiful legs, and crystalline and translucent feet emitted a seductive glow, and she was beautiful to the point it was suffocating. Especially those two lumps of waves that emitted light. They even captured Yi Qinfeng's eyes. But when he thought of her ferocious character, Yi Qinfeng's body trembled, and he wanted to hide within the universe mirror. But at the instant he hid within the universe mirror, Xia Wenyi, who'd washed off all the bloodstains on her body and was in a good mood, fiercely dove into the pool. Suddenly, she faintly noticed a figure appear within the pool, and it vanished in a flash. "Lecher, you actually dare hide below and peep at me bathing." Although Xia Wenyi didn't see Yi Qinfeng's appearance clearly, based on her intuition, she was 100% sure that the figure hidden at the bottom of the pool was Yi Qinfeng. When she thought of how her pure body was once again seen by Yi Qinfeng, Xia Wenyi was furious to the point of wanting to kill someone. "Lecher, don't hide anymore. I've already seen you, and it's useless even if you hide to the ends of the earth." The furious Xia Wenyi swiftly withdrew a set of robes to conceal her flawless and peerlessly beautiful figure, and then she let out a lion's roar as she berated loudly. Xia Wenyi, don't get agitated. Listen to my explanation. Things aren't like what you think." Hearing the angry roar coming from the pool, Yi Qinfeng knew that he had been discovered. Hiding was useless, so he braced himself and left the universe realm. Facing Xia Wenyi's fiery eyes, he awkwardly said, "Fine, I'll listen to you." Xia Wenyi ground her teeth and said, "If you don't make it up well, I'll castrate you." "I'm not making this up, nor am I spying on you on purpose. I came here earlier than you and discovered the seal at the bottom of the pool," Yi Qinfeng explained. "Is that really the case?" Xia Wenyi said doubtfully, "Before I took a shower, I released my soul to feel around." "Why didn't I find you? Did you deliberately hide your aura and hide in the dark?" "That's because your soul is too weak, okay?" Yi Qinfeng looked at Xia Wenyi's questioning look and said helplessly, "Besides, it's not like I haven't seen you naked before. Why would I peek? There's nothing to see." After mentioning her scar, Xia Wenyi immediately flew into a rage. She rushed towards Yi Qinfeng and unleashed a palm strike. The powerful force caused the pond to collapse. "Xia Wenyi, can't you be a bit gentler? Be careful, or you won't be able to get married in the future." Yi Qinfeng dodged Xia Wenyi's attack as he fled towards the top of the pool. "What you should be worried about now is not whether I can get married or not. Instead, you should consider if you can't calm me down. When I get out, I'll definitely spread the image of your naked ass." Xia Wenyi said loudly, "A good man doesn't fight with a woman." Thinking that Xia Wenyi had something on him, Yi Qinfeng felt a headache coming on. He dodged Xia Wenyi's fierce attack and fled to the top of the pool. He quickly flew towards the end of this space, filled with birds chirping and fragrant flowers. The two of them flew at high speed for more than 2 hours. They flew to the end of this space and found a multi-edged stone that emitted an illusory light. Illusion, stone looking at this stone. Yi Qinfeng saw a large number of illusions appear before his eyes. He hurriedly controlled the illusion Dao intent and poured it into his eyes, dispelling the illusion power that invaded his head. Meanwhile, the enraged Xia Wenyi flew over and unleashed palm lights that could topple mountains and overturn seas to attack Yi Qinfeng as she vented the rage in her heart. "Xia Wenyi, stop messing around. Otherwise, both of us will be in danger." Yi Qinfeng dodged Xia Wenyi's ferocious attacks as he shouted, "I can spare you, but you've seen me naked, so you have to compensate me." after ferociously attacking for a while. Xia Wendi's rage had eased up slightly, and she glared angrily at Yi Qinfeng as she spoke. Xia Wendi, I'm a person with principles. Don't make any unreasonable requests. Yi Qinfeng warned with a vigilant expression. If you make unreasonable requests, I'm too lazy to look even if you strip naked. I want the ancestors' rebirth heart, so you have to give it to me. Xia Wendi glanced coldly at Yi Qinfeng as she curled her lips and spoke with disdain. All right, I can give you the rebirth heart, but you can't fight for the other things with me. Yi Qinfeng pondered for a moment before speaking. You owe me the rebirth heart. As for the other things, it depends on my mood. Xia Wendi was unwilling to give up. Sigh. Yi Qinfeng discovered that reasoning with a woman was his biggest mistake. He helplessly sighed in his heart and compromised. However, after refining the Empyrean blood essence, the rebirth heart was no longer that attractive to Yi Qinfeng. What he truly wanted was a map of the central continent's sky beyond. All right, let's not waste any more time. I'm afraid that if we delay for too long, the true demon tribe will arrive at Xingluo Sky City. Yi Qinfeng looked at Xia Wendi, who had a victorious smile on her face, and urged her. After speaking, Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendi summoned their Gu Dao treasures Vermilion Bird Cauldron and Heavenly Mountain Dao Talisman, and attacked the huge illusion stone. The reason why they attacked the illusion stone was because they discovered that it was a formation core. If they could break the illusion stone, they could leave this place. Boom! 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 After being attacked by the 2 Gu Dao treasure, the illusion stone emitted a large amount of illusory light. It corroded Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendi's soul seas and confused their minds. However, Yi Qinfeng and Xia Wendi were dragons and phoenixes among men. Their soul spirits were abnormally strong. They were able to resist the illusory attacks of the illusion stone and control the 2 Gu Dao treasure to continue attacking. After about an hour, the illusion stone couldn't withstand the 2 Gu Dao treasure's continuous attacks. It was covered in cracks. Illusory energy surged out of the illusion stone like a tidal wave and crazily invaded their minds. It created a large amount of illusions in their minds. After being corroded by a large amount of illusory energy, Yi Qinfeng's mind was filled with scenes of slaughter. However, in just 2 breaths of time, Yi Qinfeng, who had cultivated his illusory Dao intent to the 9th level, was able to dispel the illusions. Could it be that erotic scenes appeared in Xia Wendi's mind? When Yi Qinfeng turned his head to look at Xia Wendi, who was being corroded by the increasing illusory energy, he noticed that her cheeks were rosy and her red lips were slightly parted. She seemed to be resisting some sort of temptation, and he revealed a trace of curiosity. Boom! More and more cracks appeared on the illusion stone. In the end, under the attacks of the 2 Gu Dao treasure, the illusion stone shattered. The illusory energy that corroded their soul seas disappeared, and a spatial exit appeared. Looking at Xia Wendi, whose eyes were watery and delicate, Yi Qinfeng had countless thoughts. He revealed a faint smile and asked curiously, Xia Wendi, what scene appeared in your mind earlier? Why is your face so red? You pervert! What does this have to do with you? Xia Wendi glanced at Yi Qinfeng with a charming expression before leaving him with a beautiful back view. She broke through the spatial exit that was like a black hole and disappeared. Mobile reading site. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Collect button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 957. Tombs. How could there be 3 tombs here? Yi Qinfeng and Xia Dai Butterfly passed through the spatial exit and entered a gloomy and terrifying space. In this space, there were 3 tens of meters tall tombs that were completely black and gave people a kind of oppressive feeling. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test in front of the tombs. There were 3 huge tombstones. On the tombstones, there were respectively written in golden characters, Young Star Emperor, Middle-Aged Star Emperor, and Peak Star Emperor. Young Star Emperor, Middle-Aged Star Emperor, and Peak Star Emperor. Could it be that these three tombs represented the different star emperors of different periods of time? Looking at the golden characters on the tombstones, Yi Qin-feng slightly frowned and muttered to himself, "And you shouldn't be wrong. These three tombs represent the tests of three periods of time, and only by passing the ancestor's test at his peak would one have the qualifications to inherit his most powerful inheritance." Xia Dai Butterfly nodded and said. After saying that, she fearlessly walked towards the Peak Star Emperor's tombstone, preparing to accept the most difficult test. Yi Qin-feng also didn't hesitate and followed behind Xia Dai. He broke through the restriction at the entrance of the Peak Star Emperor's tombstone and walked into the gloomy and terrifying tombstone where one couldn't even see their own fingers. Holding the Moonlight Stone, Yi Qin-feng and Xiao Chun walked to the front hall of the mausoleum. Then they saw two astral formation diagrams covering several kilometers of space. Furthermore, two old men wearing astral pattern robes stood in the middle of the formation diagrams with their hands behind their backs. They raised their heads slightly and looked at the sky. Although these two old men didn't really exist, they still gave Yi Qin-feng a mountain-like feeling when they stood there. It was as if they could make heaven and earth change with just a wave of their hand. Feeling Yi Qin-feng and Xia Dai's arrival, the two old men withdrew their gazes from the sky and looked at Yi Qin-feng and Xia Dai Butterfly. When Yi Qin-feng met the old man's eyes that were as deep as the ocean, he felt as if his eyes could see through him. It was as if all the secrets on his body could not escape his eyes. Xia Wendy looked at the two old men and revealed a trace of excitement. Her knees softened and she knelt on the ground. She sincerely kowtowed to the two old men 3 times before standing up and slowly walking towards a star array diagram. Buzz walking into the star pattern formation. The entire formation was activated. Endless starlight poured out, rushing into the clouds and swallowing Xia Dai within. Xia Wendy began to take the test of the Peak Star Emperor. Yi Qin-feng didn't hesitate. He walked to another star pattern formation without fear and accepted the test of the Peak Star Emperor. Cultivating for more than 30 years and becoming a level 4 Beast Emperor. You're a genius. Not bad. The old man in the starry robe with his hands behind his back looked at Yi Qin-feng, who was walking into the formation. His deep eyes shone brightly as he understood Yi Qin-feng's bone age and strength. He couldn't stop praising him. "Senior, what does this junior need to do to pass?" Looking at the old man in the starry robe who looked like a star emperor, Yi Qin-feng respectfully asked, "Defeat me and you'll pass, but I will suppress my strength to the level 4 Beast Emperor realm. I won't take advantage of the difference in realm," the old man in the starry robe said without a trace of emotion. "Good." Hearing that the old man in the starry robe would suppress his realm, Yi Qin-feng was relieved. A deafening dragon roar resounded. 1,000 meters long blood dragon emperor appeared and circled above his head. Its terrifying dragon might shook the heavens and earth. "Very good. You've given me another surprise. It seems that you have a chance to defeat me." Looking at Yi Qin-feng's spiritual beast blood dragon emperor, the old man in the starry robe's eyes shone even brighter. He lightly stepped forward, and a powerful star Dao will gushed out of his body like stormy waves and bombarded Yi Qin-feng. Great Sun, Heavenly Fire Fist. The old man in the starry robe released his star Dao will. Yi Qin-feng decisively merged with the Blood Dragon Emperor, and his strength skyrocketed. He blasted out a punch that was like a blazing sun, carrying unparalleled power and the 5 elements Dao will. Boom! The air exploded and the airflow surged. The star Dao will and the great sun, Heavenly Fire Fist collided. The explosive power was extremely terrifying, and dense water ripples appeared in the air. 3 absolutes of water restriction. Illusory dragon water shadow. Seeing that the great sun heavenly fire fist began to crack under the attack of the star Tao will, Yi Qinfeng's hands quickly twisted. The 5 elements Tao will erupted again, turning into an aggressive water dragon that was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It entered the endless starlight. Crack! Under the attack of the illusory dragon water shadow, the rapidly flowing star Tao pattern was torn apart. The illusory dragon water shadow roared wildly and bombarded the old man with unparalleled power. As the illusory dragon water shadow approached, the old man in the starry robe covered his right hand. He compressed the vast star Tao will to the extreme and hit the illusory dragon water shadow with his palm, breaking it. The test of the peak star emperor was indeed extraordinary. Although the old man in the starry robe had suppressed his cultivation level, his comprehension of Tao will, talent, and strength had far surpassed many geniuses. It was indeed not that easy to defeat him. After witnessing the old man's strength and control of Tao will, Yi Qinfeng knew that it would be more difficult to defeat him than he had imagined. However, Yi Qinfeng intended to compete with the old man in the starry robe. He wanted to know who was more monstrous between himself and the peak star emperor in the same cultivation level, so he didn't use any treasures. The 5 elements Tao will, life and death Tao will, heaven and earth Tao will. Yi Qinfeng took the initiative to attack. The 3 fused Tao wills gushed out of his body and merged together, like a raging river of Tao will. It rolled in the void and bombarded the old man in the starry robe. 3 fused Tao wills, and all 3 Tao wills had been cultivated to the 8th heavenly layer or above. The old man in the starry robe was moved for the first time. He didn't expect Yi Qinfeng's cultivation of Tao will to be so deep. He immediately controlled the star Tao will to transform into a vortex of stars to resist with all his might. When the 4 Tao wills collided, a terrifying power of Tao will immediately spilled out. It swept out in all directions like a tsunami, attacking both their bodies. Although the old man in the starry robe had a deep cultivation of star Tao will, he couldn't resist the attack of Yi Qinfeng's 3 fused Tao wills. Cracks appeared on the surface of the vortex of stars. Seeing that the vortex of stars was about to break, the old man in the starry robe fluttered. A large number of star patterns shot out of his body and merged into the vortex of stars. A profound star Tao diagram appeared. Not only did it resist the attack of the Tao River, it also continuously shattered it. In the end, the old man in the starry robe borrowed the might of the star Tao diagram to break Yi Qinfeng's Tao will attack. Junior, your innate talent and comprehension of Tao will are the highest I've ever seen. However, you're not my match with just 3 fused Tao wills. You'd better use other methods. Otherwise, you'll definitely be the one to lose. The old man in the starry robe didn't follow up with another attack. He looked at Yi Qinfeng with a deep gaze and spoke slowly. Senior, you spoke too early. Yi Qinfeng smiled slightly. The sword soul flew out of his soul sea and revolved around his body. In the next moment, the sword soul trembled. A sword diagram that was filled with Tao patterns appeared. Numerous sword Tao patterns that pulsed out incessantly sliced through the space, riddling it with holes. Sword soul, you actually majored in the sword soul? The old man in the starry robe revealed a surprised expression. It was very difficult to find a genius in the sword Tao who had condensed a sword soul among a million people. Looks like you're indeed qualified to inherit the Star Emperor's Nirvana heart. As he spoke, the old man in the starry robe injected all the star power in his body into the star Tao diagram. He controlled the Tao diagram that was rapidly revolving. With the power to annihilate everything, it blasted towards Yi Qinfeng. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You'll be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 958. Sword Dao diagram, myriad sword Daos. The old man attacked with the star Dao diagram. Yi Qinfeng immediately controlled the sword Dao diagram, floating above his head to meet the attack with all his might. Streaks of sword-based Dao inscriptions and dazzling star inscriptions collided with each other with ear-piercing sounds. The intense collision and battle formed a storm of Dao that could topple mountains and overturn seas, engulfing Yi Qinfeng and the star-robed elder within. Yi Qinfeng relied on his powerful physical body to defend himself as he was engulfed by the billowing storm of will. He took a step forward, and a matrix suddenly appeared. The incomparably sharp sword-based Dao pattern continuously tore through the storm of will as it closed in on the star-robed elder. When Yi Qinfeng's fist collided with the star-robed elder's palm, Yi Qinfeng's 25 million gene of force exploded. The powerful force caused the star-robed elder's body to tremble as he uncontrollably retreated. After forcing the star-robed old man back with one punch, Yi Qinfeng controlled 2 Kuzui of the sword to create the star Dao diagram while using the sword steps to chase after him. He attacked the star-robed old man with all his strength, determined to defeat him. After realizing that Yi Qinfeng's strength was far superior to his, the old man's hands moved like flowing water and formed a circle in front of him. He mobilized the momentum of heaven and earth to resist Yi Qinfeng's ferocious attack. Ruthless Dao of Heaven. When the star-robed old man dispelled the absolute power attack, more than 20 heavenly Dao inscriptions shot out of Yi Qinfeng's fist. Like an apocalyptic disaster, they held as they struck the star-robed old man's momentum. Crack! Heaven Dao, the foundation of all Daos. After being attacked by Yi Qinfeng's Heaven Dao, merciless Dao, the momentum of heaven and earth that the old man had mobilized was immediately broken. A huge black hole appeared in the circle that looked like the revolution of heaven and earth. Extreme Dao of life and death. After forcefully breaking through the elder's attack, Yi Qinfeng struck out with his right palm. 90 Dao patterns of life and death gathered to form a terrifying Dao disc, unleashing boundless destructive power. It passed through the black hole in the circle and ruthlessly smashed into the elder's body. The elder was directly pushed back dozens of meters, and cracks appeared on his chest. When the old man was pushed back by Yi Qinfeng's palm strike, the star Dao diagram that he controlled with his mind could not withstand the ferocity of the attack. The sword Dao diagram, controlled by the sword soul, directly shattered. Senior, I should have won the contest of Dao intent, right? Yi Qinfeng did not pursue the old man after pushing back the old man and shattering the sword Dao diagram. Instead, he looked at the old man whose aura was a little chaotic. You won the contest of Dao will, but this doesn't count as you truly defeating me. I still have tricks up my sleeve that I haven't used yet. The star-robed old man took a deep breath and said with a neutral expression. In the blink of an eye, the crack on his chest was repaired by a strand of formidable Dao insight. Then, please give it your all. Yi Qinfeng said. Star God bloodline ignite. A powerful bloodline power erupted from the old man's body. The terrifying power of the diagram also fused into his body and quickly gathered into an illusory figure. Although this figure was very blurry, it revealed a domineering aura that could rival the world. It made people unable to have a trace of battle intent when facing it. The Star God bloodline. The Star Emperor was indeed the most legendary figure on the Xingluo continent. This bloodline was unprecedented. Just a strand of his blood had such power. Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath when he felt the suppression of the Star God bloodline. He ignited his divine demon bloodline and transformed into a crimson divine demon body. He greatly increased his physical strength to fight back. There is indeed a powerful bloodline flowing in your body. Today, let's see whose bloodline is stronger. As he spoke, the starlight figure behind the old man became clear. It carried a shocking power and the might of the diagram. It swept through the void and blasted towards Yi Qinfeng, breaking all techniques with strength. As the starlight figure attacked, Yi Qinfeng's bones and tendons sounded together. More than 150 million pounds of strength erupted like an erupting volcano. It tore apart the endless starlight and blocked the killing move. Boom, boom, boom. After breaking the starlight figure's attack with a punch, Yi Qinfeng used the sword steps to pursue. He relied on his absolute strength to attack continuously and fought fiercely with the starlight figure. What great strength! Just how did he cultivate? Although the old man was not a real life, he had extremely high intelligence. He revealed a shocked expression when he felt that Yi Qinfeng could explode with more than 100 million pounds of strength with each punch. After cultivating for more than 30 years, he was a grade 4 beast emperor. He had cultivated several Daos to perfection, and his physical strength was more than 100 million pounds. When did the Xingluo continent give birth to such an unprecedented talent? The old man became more and more shocked. He realized that Yi Qinfeng was a bottomless pit. He was far stronger than the Star Emperor of the same realm. He could not force out his true strength. 9 starlight swords. His star god bloodline was gradually being suppressed. The star-robed old man continued to unleash his killing move. The starlight figure transformed into 9 dazzling light swords that carried exceptional sharpness as they slashed toward Yi Qinfeng. Each of the 9 starlight swords was branded with Daos. They were very powerful. Even a grade 6 beast emperor would find it difficult to block them, let alone a grade 5 beast emperor. However, Yi Qinfeng had transformed into his divine demon body. His physical defense was too terrifying. In addition, the sword Dao diagram formed by the sword soul was very powerful. He used the sword Dao diagram to block the old man's killing move. After the first attack, the old man continued to use the 9 starlight swords to suppress Yi Qinfeng's attack with all his strength. However, this time, Yi Qinfeng did not take the old man's attack head-on. A sword light flashed under his feet. He dodged the 9 starlight swords in an instant and launched a counterattack at the old man. Astral palm. As Yi Qinfeng closed in, the old man quickly sent out a palm. A large amount of Daos flowed in the astral palm, imperceptibly increasing the attack power of this palm. Boundless heavenly sword. Yi Qinfeng did not dodge the old man's palm. He used his body, which was comparable to a high-grade Dao artifact, to take the attack head-on. At the same time, he slashed out a sword that was like a boundless Daos. It hit the old man's body and sent him flying. A deep sword scar appeared on the old man's body. If it wasn't for the peerless power hidden in the old man's body and the shocking power of the array diagram, Yi Qinfeng's sword would have split him in half. After gaining the upper hand with one strike, Yi Qinfeng continued to unleash his tide-like attacks. The will of life and death, the will of heaven and earth, and the will of 5 elemental Dao surged like a rising tide. The power of the great Dao kept increasing as it attacked the star-robed elder, worsening his injuries. Star Dao diagram. His attacks were completely suppressed by Yi Qinfeng. The severely injured old man moved his hands quickly and forcefully condensed the star Dao diagram. He formed a star Dao diagram to take on Yi Qinfeng's attacks head-on. However, Yi Qinfeng's attacks were too ferocious. The star Dao diagram that the old man condensed couldn't withstand Yi Qinfeng's attacks at all. His arms were even shattered by the force of 100 million jin. After about half an hour, the trajectory of the star-robed old man's attack was broken. Yi Qinfeng's punch, which exceeded 150 million caddies of force and was infused with several Dao wills, landed on the star-robed old man's body continuously, sending him flying and crashing into the rising formation wall. Junior, you have won. You have defeated a peak-stage Astral Emperor and passed the test. However, if you want to obtain the Astral Emperor's inheritance, you still have to go through the test of the Astral Emperor's clone. Only by obtaining his approval can you inherit the strongest inheritance of the Astral Emperor. However, I have high hopes for you. All right. I will now send you into the ultimate space of the Imperial Mausoleum. I wish you good luck. After speaking, the old man activated the power of the array and sent Yi Qinfeng to the ultimate space of the Xingluo Imperial Mausoleum. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 959. Xia Wendy has not come out yet. Looks like her test is much harder than mine. Watermark advertisement. Test watermark advertisement test after entering the ultimate space of the Imperial Tomb. Yi Qinfeng did not sense Xia Wendy's aura. He guessed that she was still accepting challenges. However, Yi Qinfeng was not worried about her. With Xia Wendy's talent and strength, a level 5 Beast Emperor at the peak of Star Emperor would definitely not be her opponent. Yi Qinfeng sat cross-legged on the ground and adjusted his condition. When he had adjusted his condition to the best, Xia Wendy still did not appear. At this moment, Yi Qinfeng did not waste any more time. He stepped on a small path paved with dark stones and slowly walked into this dark space. Not long after, a tall and straight man in a black martial arts suit appeared in front of him, blocking his path. The moment he saw the man in black, Yi Qinfeng's pupils shrank into the most dangerous pinhole shape. He could feel a strong threat of death from him. As Yi Qinfeng stared at the black-robed man from afar, the black-robed man slowly turned around. 2 rays of light shot out from his eyes like lightning, drilling into Yi Qinfeng's eyes. He felt as if his mind was being devoured. What a terrifying gaze! He should be the slaughter doppelganger of the Star Emperor. Looking at the man in black's terrifying gaze, Yi Qinfeng could feel a boundless killing intent. It felt like he was being stared at by the most poisonous snake in the world. All the hair on his body stood up. Junior, if you can make it this far, it means that your talent is outstanding. I am your final challenge. If you can defeat me, the master's inheritance will be yours. If you fail, I will kill you. The slaughter doppelganger said emotionlessly. His voice was filled with killing intent. Emperor Sky soared. Feeling the terror of the slaughter doppelganger, Yi Qinfeng did not dare to be careless. He summoned the Emperor Sky, sword, and stood on the spot in silence. Roar! The slaughter doppelganger suddenly raised its head and roared. An inhuman roar came from its mouth and pierced through the sky. Boundless murderous intent was released from his body. Terrifying energy surged like a tidal wave and soared into the sky. He was like an invincible god of death. He took out a dazzling Taoist sword with 7 gemstones embedded in it and pointed it at Yi Qinfeng. Mid-grade Tao artifact. Sensing the grade of the starlight Tao sword in the slaughter avatar's hand, Yi Qinfeng's expression became even more solemn. He knew that he had to give it his all in this battle. Otherwise, he might be seriously injured or killed by Star Emperor's slaughter doppelganger. A tearing sound rang out. Just as Yi Qinfeng was preparing for battle, the slaughter doppelganger moved. He stabbed out with his sword, causing the space to tremble. The boundless sword might slashed out a sword scar in the space, slashing towards Yi Qinfeng with astonishing speed. Sword spirit, fuse! Facing such a lethal attack, Yi Qinfeng did not dare to be careless. He quickly fused his sword soul into the Emperor Heaven's sword and welcomed the attack. Wang! When the tips of the 2 great Tao swords clashed, boundless sword patterns surged out. The terrifying sword might tore thousands of holes in the space. What powerful strength! Feeling the rebounding force coming from the Emperor Heaven's sword, Yi Qinfeng's expression changed slightly. He quickly controlled the power of Tao intent to increase the attacking power of this sword. Suddenly, 2 sword lights shot out from the slaughter doppelganger's eyes and pierced towards Yi Qinfeng's eyes at an extremely fast speed, distracting Yi Qinfeng's attack. Vermilion Bird Cauldron. Facing the slaughter doppelganger, Yi Qinfeng had no choice but to give it his all. He spat out the vermilion bird cauldron, which was filled with wanton soul light, to shatter the Slaughter doppelganger's sword light and attack the Slaughter doppelganger. Gu Dao treasure. Sensing the grade of the vermilion bird cauldron, the Slaughter doppelganger quickly struck out with his palm. The terrifying left palm fiercely imprinted on the surface of the vermilion bird cauldron, letting out a resonant sound. And, to use his palm to block the attack of the vermilion bird cauldron, this Slaughter doppelganger had a terrifying body. Seeing the vermilion bird cauldron being pushed back by the Slaughter doppelganger, Yi Qinfeng's eyebrows twitched. He multitasked and summoned the Dao Treasure Ghost Slaughter array diagram, wanting to use the power of the Dao Treasure to suppress the Slaughter doppelganger. There are quite a few treasures, but they are useless against me. The Slaughter doppelganger quickly pulled out his sword. With a flash of his body, he attacked rapidly like a spinning top. Streaks of sharp sword lights shot out and crushed the array patterns released by the Ghost Slaughter array diagram like a violent storm, forcing the vermilion bird cauldron back. 7 swords of judgment, sky-shattering, destruction, judgment. The Slaughter doppelganger attacked the vermilion bird cauldron with all his might. While the Ghost Slaughter array diagram was attacking the Slaughter doppelganger, Yi Qinfeng flew into the sky and continuously executed the 7 swords of judgment to attack the Slaughter doppelganger, wanting to suppress him. Streaks of shocking swords swept across the heavens and earth, bringing with them endless destructive powers. They were like spatial cracks that tore through the void space. Their divine prowess shook the heavens as they continuously slashed at the Slaughter doppelganger. As the Slaughter doppelganger's strength increased, the grade of the Emperor Heaven's Sword also increased. The attacking prowess of the 7 swords of judgment that Yi Qinfeng executed became even more terrifying. The terrifying sword prowess caused a vacuum region to appear around the Slaughter doppelganger. It was as if the entire space could not withstand his attacks and could collapse and be destroyed at any moment. His attacking prowess is not bad, but he is still a little lacking if he wants to defeat me. Relying on his indestructible body to withstand the attacks of the 7 swords of judgment, the Slaughter doppelganger quickly slashed out a sword. With the terrifying aura of mountains and rivers, it slashed towards Yi Qinfeng. Yi Qinfeng stepped into the void and dodged the Slaughter doppelganger's counterattack. Then he executed the Emperor Heaven's Sword art and continued to attack. As Yi Qinfeng attacked with all his might, his sword soul turned into a sword Dao diagram, continuously increasing Yi Qinfeng's attacking prowess. As the speed of Yi Qinfeng's sword attacks became faster and faster, streaks of shocking sword lights were like rolling waves in the sea. They became stronger and stronger, seemingly endless. Star Sword. Withstanding Yi Qinfeng's storm-like attacks, the Slaughter doppelganger slashed back. Its sword aura soared into the sky, and its aura engulfed the mountains and rivers. That boundless black sword light seemed as if it was going to destroy this part of the world. It directly broke apart Yi Qinfeng's consecutive killer moves. What a terrifying sword attack! Facing such a powerful sword attack, Yi Qinfeng felt as if the end of the world had arrived. He stepped into the sword and dodged rapidly. His continuous attacks were also completely disrupted by this sword attack. Dragon's bloodline burn. The Slaughter doppelganger's abilities were beyond imagination. Yi Qinfeng immediately burned his dragon's bloodline, increasing his soul power by 7 times as he continued to attack. With the increase in soul power, the prowess of Yi Qinfeng's Dao techniques increased exponentially. In addition to the attacks of the vermilion bird cauldron and the ghost-killing array diagram, the Slaughter doppelganger was engulfed by the terrifying attacks. Amidst the destructive attacks, the Slaughter doppelganger was not afraid at all. Its attacks were not interrupted, and it retaliated with ease. It sent the vermilion bird cauldron, which was like a meteor, flying time and time again. It also tore apart the ghost-killing array diagram and Yi Qinfeng's attacks. Extreme Dao of life and death. His relentless attacks were fruitless. Yi Qinfeng stepped into the sword and tore apart the destructive storm. He closed in on the slaughtered doppelganger. The terrifying Tao of life and death gathered in his right palm, condensing into a Tao disc of life and death. He ruthlessly smashed it at the slaughtered doppelganger's chest. Boom! After being struck by Yi Qinfeng's extreme Tao of life and death, the slaughtered doppelganger was shaken by 3 steps. However, its physical defense was too terrifying. It instantly stabilized its body and continued to attack Yi Qinfeng. Green Heaven's secret art. Since his relentless attacks were fruitless, Yi Qinfeng used another trump card. Surging heaven, Tao power gushed out of his body and rapidly increased his strength. Green Heaven's secret art. You are from the heaven race. The moment Yi Qinfeng executed the Green Heaven secret art, the slaughtered doppelganger revealed a chilling killing intent and misunderstood his identity. In the next moment, the slaughtered doppelganger's body released boundless killing intent, which caused the heaven and earth to tremble. Heaven race bastard, the star monarch's inheritance is not something you can touch. Go and die. The slaughtered doppelganger did not give Yi Qinfeng a chance to explain. With a shocking killing intent, it launched a fatal attack at Yi Qinfeng. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 960. Kacha. The slaughter avatar's starlight, Tao, sword clashed with Yi Qinfeng's Emperor Celestial Sword. The powerful collision forcefully tore apart the dark void. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test, net don't misunderstand. I am not from the heaven race. Yi Qinfeng defended against the slaughter clone's ferocious attacks, as he explained. You can fool others, but you can't fool me. The Green Heaven art is an ancient inheritance that the heaven race has never passed down. You knowing the Green Heaven art is enough to prove your identity. The slaughter clone did not believe Yi Qinfeng's explanation at all. It continued to attack with the mid-grade Tao artifact, Starlight Tao Sword. The ferocious sword aura enveloped Yi Qinfeng and was determined to kill him. I obtained the Green Heaven art from the Heaven Tomb on the 9th level of Xingluo Heaven City. Furthermore, I met the Star Emperor's other avatar in the 9 levels of heaven and obtained the hexagonal astrolabe from him. It was also because of the hexagonal astrolabe that summoned the 6 keys to the Imperial Tomb that I was able to enter this place. Yi Qinfeng defended against the slaughter clone's ferocious attacks as he continued to explain. Master's inheritance is no small matter. I will not let anyone with problems go. Therefore, no matter what you say, you will not be able to change your fate. The slaughter clone said in a rigid manner. It had no intention of slowing down its attacks. That means you are determined to kill me. Yi Qinfeng asked in annoyance. You will definitely die. The slaughter clone said in a chilling tone. It looked like it would not rest until it killed Yi Qinfeng. All right, since that is the case, don't blame me for destroying you. Yi Qinfeng could not be bothered to talk nonsense with the slaughter clone. This was because he knew that it was useless even if he talked until his mouth was cracked. The only way was to kill it. You have finally revealed your foxtail. However, you are still far from being able to destroy me. As the slaughter clone spoke, the killing intent in its body surged to another level. The starlight Tao sword in its hand opened and closed like mercury, bombarding Yi Qinfeng and forcing him to retreat. True dragon transformation. When Yi Qinfeng's attacks were completely countered by the slaughtered doppelganger, he decisively ignited his dragon heart and the power of the dragon in his body, transforming into an extraordinarily mighty true dragon that roared madly as it crushed the mercury-like sword gleams one after another, crashing into the slaughter doppelganger's body and forcibly forcing it to retreat. However, the slaughter doppelganger's body was too tough. It was suspected to be at the level of Gu Dao treasure. Yi Qinfeng's attack in the form of a true dragon only managed to push it back. It was unable to injure it. Blue Sky Seal. The Slaughter doppelganger was knocked back, and Yi Qinfeng followed up with his sword steps. He circulated the green heaven secret art and mobilized the heavenly Dao. The three fused Dao intents gushed out of his body at the same time, transforming into a huge seal that interweaved with natural patterns. It pressed forward and slammed into the Slaughter doppelganger's chest, knocking him back again. Blue Sky Seal, what do you have to explain now? The Slaughter doppelganger was the Star Emperor's attack doppelganger. It had fought with the Heaven Race experts many times, so it was very familiar with the Green Heaven secret art and the Blue Sky Seal. Seeing that Yi Qinfeng even knew the Blue Sky Seal, its eyes shot out dense killing intent, completely igniting the killing intent in its body. A killing intent as vast as the ocean gushed out from his body, and his strength had reached its limit at this moment. Gu Dao treasure. This Slaughter doppelganger was actually a Gu Dao treasure. When the Slaughter doppelganger revealed its strength without holding back, Extreme's God-Eater brain finally discovered its secret. It was not refined from a living body, but a Gu Dao treasure level doppelganger. After knowing the truth of the Slaughter doppelganger, Yi Qinfeng felt even more troubled. Although he was powerful, had astonishing attack power, and had many treasures, other than the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus, he did not have the ability to destroy the Gu Dao treasure, and the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus was a supreme saint treasure. Every time it was used, it would consume a lot of soul power. With his strength, using it once would drain all the soul power in his body. It seemed like this was the only way. In a flash, Yi Qinfeng thought of a way to destroy the Slaughter doppelganger. However, although the method was feasible, it was very difficult to execute. He had to first crack the Slaughter doppelganger's head. Stun art. The Slaughter doppelganger, whose attack power had reached the limit, attacked. Yi Qinfeng's soul power exploded, forming a terrifying stun power that smashed towards the Slaughter doppelganger like a heavy hammer, directly attacking its soul. However, it was unable to break through the defense of its head. As expected, the defense of the Slaughter doppelganger's head was terrifying. The stun art could not break through its defense. After the stun art failed, Yi Qinfeng immediately used the sword steps to dodge the Slaughter doppelganger's attack. However, the Slaughter doppelganger's attack speed was too fast. Yi Qinfeng could not guard against it and was in a difficult situation. Vermilion Bird Cauldron. Suppress. At the crucial moment, the Vermilion Bird Cauldron descended from the sky and fiercely suppressed the Slaughter doppelganger's head. It forced the Slaughter doppelganger to counterattack with its left palm and slow down its attack speed. Cosmos Sword Formation. Taking advantage of this opportunity, 18 ancient swords flew out. Under the guidance of the sword spirit, they condensed into the Cosmos Sword Formation. The Slaughter doppelganger was trapped in the sword formation and crazily attacked. Streaks of Cosmos swords slashed across, leaving a string of dazzling sparks on the Slaughter doppelganger's body. However, the Slaughter doppelganger's defense was too terrifying. The 4 low-grade Dao swords could not leave a sword mark on its body, let alone injure it. Horizontal Sword Slash. After blocking the attacks of the Cosmos Sword Formation, the Slaughter doppelganger's entire body suddenly merged with the Starlight Dao sword in its hand and turned into a sharp light sword. It cut through all obstacles and forcefully tore apart the Cosmos Sword Formation. The sword pierced towards Yi Qinfeng, who it had locked onto. Sword Spirit Ignition. Boundless Heavenly Sword. As the Slaughter doppelganger attacked, Yi Qinfeng did not dodge. He quickly ignited the Emperor Sky Sword Spirit and slashed out the Boundless Sword. A large amount of Dao intent revolved around the tip of the Emperor Sky Sword. It was like a boundless Dao that clashed with the horizontal sword slash. In an instant, the entire space was flipped open by a violent shock wave. In the wanton storm, Yi Qinfeng felt a terrifying force penetrating his arm through the Emperor's sky sword. It shook until his arm went numb, and the blood in his body started to churn. Vermilion bird cauldron, smash for me. As his body was pushed back by the slaughter doppelganger, Yi Qinfeng controlled the vermilion bird cauldron with his intent to suppress it. As the slaughter doppelganger clashed with the vermilion bird cauldron, the purple beginning's sacred thunder shot out of Yi Qinfeng's mouth and bombarded the slaughter doppelganger's body, forcefully pushing him back 3 steps. Sigh! Even the purple beginning's sacred thunder was unable to break through his body. Although the slaughter doppelganger was pushed back by the purple beginning's sacred thunder, it was not injured at all. This made Yi Qinfeng even more difficult to deal with. Furthermore, the 9 Dragons Jade Annulus was his final trump card. Yi Qinfeng had to find the best opportunity to attack. This was because once the attack failed, the slaughter doppelganger would have the chance to severely injure or even kill him. Cosmos Sword Formation. Trap! When the slaughter doppelganger was pushed back, Yi Qinfeng immediately controlled the Cosmos Sword Formation to trap him within. He then continuously released the purple beginning's sacred thunder to attack his body. Break! Relying on his powerful body to withstand the attacks of the Cosmos Sword Formation and the purple beginning's sacred thunder, the slaughter doppelganger forcibly tore open the Cosmos Sword Formation. However, in the instant that he tore open the Cosmos Ring, Yi Qinfeng brought out the 9 Dragons Jade Annulus. He poured almost all of his soul power into the 9 Dragons Jade Annulus, condensing it into a wild dragon that bombarded his head. Sensing the fearsomeness of the wild dragon, the slaughter doppelganger instinctively covered his head with his arms and took the attack head-on. Boom! An earth-shattering boom rang out. The slaughter doppelganger, who was protecting his head with his arms, was sent flying by the wild dragon formed by the 9 Dragons Jade Annulus. He crashed heavily into the Cosmos Sword Formation. His arms were also shattered by the 9 Dragons Jade Annulus. However, because he was well protected, his head was unharmed. All of Yi Qinfeng's efforts had been for naught. Mobile reading website. Book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 961. The 9 Dragon Jade Annulus failed. Yi Qinfeng's heart sank as he looked at the slaughter doppelganger, whose arms were covered in cracks but whose head was unharmed. If he could destroy the slaughter doppelganger's head, Yi Qinfeng would be able to devour the slaughter doppelganger's soul and control it. But now his plan had failed, and he had used up almost all of his soul power. Although he had the ancient jade peaches of immortality, he only had 5 of them left. Each of them was equivalent to a life, and he did not want to waste them unless he had no other choice. Furthermore, the slaughter doppelganger was on guard, and it would be more difficult for him to control the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus to attack him. Gulp! Yi Qinfeng raised his head and drank an entire bottle of returning heaven water. As he recovered his soul power, he controlled the Cosmos Sword Formation to trap the slaughter doppelganger. The slaughter doppelganger's arms were injured by the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus, but it did not affect its attacks. Under its ferocious attacks with the Starlight Dao sword, the Cosmos Sword Formation was torn apart again. Qinggu Qiu, come out and help me. At this critical moment, Yi Qinfeng summoned Qinggu Qiu, who had been bitterly cultivating in the Cosmos realm, and ordered him to attack the slaughter doppelganger with all his might to buy time for himself to recover. Despicable heavenly race bastard, you really have a helper. Today I will destroy you. Sensing the power of the heavens in Qinggu Qiu's body, the slaughter doppelganger went berserk. Wielding the Starlight Dao sword, the slaughter doppelganger attacked Qinggu Qiu with all his might. Endless sword silhouettes shot out and clashed fiercely with Qinggu Qiu. Qinggu Qiu was powerful enough to kill a Class 6 combat beast emperor, but the slaughter doppelganger's defense was too strong. Chingu Chiu circulated the green heaven secret art, formed the blue sky seal, and used the heavenly Tao disc to bombard his body, but it could not hurt him at all. Chingu Chiu was in a difficult position under the slaughter doppelganger's all-out attacks. Yi Qinfeng took advantage of the limited time to absorb the returning heaven water while controlling the life Tao rune to recover his soul power. Just as he was about to go all out, ripples appeared in space, and Xia Wendy appeared with blood dripping from the corner of her mouth. "Summer butterfly, come and help me." Yi Qinfeng shouted at Xia Wendy, who was bleeding from the corner of her mouth and whose breathing was somewhat chaotic. Slaughter doppelganger, the ancestor's slaughter doppelganger Xia, Wendy's eyes lit up as she watched the battle between Chingu Chiu and Slaughter Avatar from afar. According to the introduction passed down in the ancient books of the Xia family, the slaughter doppelganger was made by the Star Emperor with an extremely powerful Gu Dao treasure. Not only was its defense amazing, but its attack was also terrifying. Yi Qinfeng. "Who is he?" Xia Wendy asked as she looked at Chingu Chiu, who was dodging the attacks of the slaughter avatars. "He is my friend and has always been cultivating in the universe realm." Chingu Chiu's identity was rather special, so Yi Qinfeng did not state it clearly. "Yi Qinfeng, tell your friend to retreat. I have a way to subdue this slaughter doppelganger. Leave him to me," Xia Wendy said as she looked deeply at Chingu Chiu. "All right." Although Yi Qinfeng also wanted to subdue the Star Emperor's slaughter doppelganger, the price was too high. After pondering for a moment, he decided not to fight with Xia Wendy, and instead called Chingu Chiu back. Star Tao diagram suppression when Chingu Chiu returned. Xia Wendy ignored the exhaustion of her body and flew toward the slaughter doppelganger. She formed a star Tao diagram and suppressed the slaughter doppelganger. Star Tao diagram, who are you? Sensing the familiar aura from Xia Wendy, the slaughter doppelganger used its cracked palm to block the star Tao diagram's attack. "I am the descendant of the Star Emperor's ancestor." Xia Wendy reported her identity. "Descendant of the Star Emperor. What proof do you have?" The slaughter doppelganger calmed down a little and looked at her with a sharp gaze. "My blood is the best proof." Xia Wendy bit her finger and squeezed out a drop of essence blood. She flicked it at the slaughter doppelganger. The slaughter doppelganger did not dodge when it saw the blood essence flying towards it. Instead, it opened its mouth and swallowed the blood essence into its stomach. The same bloodline power. "You are indeed Master's direct descendant. Let's work together and kill those two sky race bastards. I'll take you to Master's corpse." After confirming Xia Wendy's bloodline inheritance, the slaughter doppelganger no longer had any ill intentions towards her. However, it was filled with killing intent towards Yi Qinfeng and Chingu Chiu, who cultivated the green heaven art. It was determined to kill them. "You misunderstood. They are not from the sky race." Xia Wendy said softly, "I did not misunderstand. They both cultivate the green heaven art. They are definitely sky race bastards who want to take advantage of the chaos to obtain Master's inheritance." The slaughter doppelganger said resolutely, "I can guarantee with my integrity that they have nothing to do with the sky race." Xia Wendy said as she stood in front of the slaughter doppelganger, "It seems that you have been deceived by them. Since that is the case, let me personally send them to hell." The slaughter doppelganger's body flashed as it tried to go around Xia Wendy and kill Yi Qinfeng and Chingu Chiu. Blood Star contract when Xia Wendy saw that the slaughter doppelganger was determined to kill Yi Qinfeng. She quickly bit her 10 fingers and formed a complicated hand seal. Using the blood from her 10 fingers as a guide, she formed a blood-red contract and threw it at the slaughter doppelganger. Although the slaughter doppelganger was indestructible, the blood star contract seemed to melt when it hit its body. It then drilled into its body and attacked its soul. "What are you doing? Are you trying to erase my soul?" The slaughtered doppelganger was enraged by the blood star contract that Xia Wendy had formed, and it roared at her. I need an obedient doppelganger, so I can only erase the consciousness my ancestor established in your soul, see. Xia Wendy's hands continued to twist as she formed a second blood star contract and attacked the slaughter doppelganger. She used the contract method passed down by the ancient star palace to forcefully erase its soul consciousness before refining it again. Stop. If you don't stop now, don't blame me for being impolite. The slaughtered doppelganger did not want to become a puppet doppelganger with no consciousness, so it roared at Xia Wendy and locked its murderous aura on her. Xia Wendy was unmoved by the slaughtered doppelganger's roar and continued to form a third blood star contract with her blood. However, her actions had completely enraged the slaughtered doppelganger. Since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being impolite. After that, the slaughtered doppelganger attacked Xia Wendy with a shocking murderous aura, trying to stop her from forming another blood star contract. Young Master Yi, should we help? Qinggu Qiu asked as he looked at the beautiful Xia Wendy, who was dodging nimbly. There was no need, she could handle it. Yi Qinfeng was very familiar with Xia Wendy's strength and knew that she would not be in danger for the time being. Buzz. Xia Wendy used a strange footwork as she continuously formed blood star contracts and imprinted them into the slaughter doppelganger's body. When Xia Wendy imprinted the 8th blood star contract into the slaughter doppelganger's body, the slaughter doppelganger suddenly hugged its head with both hands and let out a painful roar. The terrifying roar pierced through the 9 heavens, causing the entire space to tremble. At this moment, Xia Wendy formed the 9th blood star contract and imprinted it into the slaughter doppelganger's body, forcefully erasing its severely damaged soul consciousness, turning it into a doppelganger with no consciousness. Mobile reading website. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click Save at the bottom to record this book. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support.